you were ready to give up.
What's up, everybody? Chris Moneymaker here, joined by the hot grenade, kind of. What's up, Scott? Yeah, I don't know. We were just talking about it. I don't know if it's still the hot grenade or not, but welcome. This is about the 6th or 7th installment of the Heads Up match.
Yes, sir.
So you've done the last couple, haven't you?
I did not do the last one a couple days ago. That was the 2 Johns 1 Cup combo. And but I did do the last couple before that with Bet on Drew and with Ebony. And now I'm here joined by you, Senior Moneymaker. And it is great to see you and great to be back on and witnessing the 7th installment of this epic Heads Up battle.
All right, so that's official. It is number 7.
Yes.
And I think we go into today with Perkins down about 100K through 3,000 hands, which they're playing 25,000 hands, correct?
I thought it was 20. I think it's 20.
It's 20. Okay, so it's 20K hands. He's got a 720 head start, so he's about on par. Tice is, that is, to get close to that 720. But I mean, anybody that's been following, these swings have been 100,000 in a day. So obviously, each session right now is just drastic.
Exactly. The old trope, no limit hold'em, man. Things can swing. We've seen it swing 100K already. What's the limit? How far it could swing? Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess the limit what it can swing early, what they do have said is, for anybody that doesn't know this first time watching, once they reach 3 buy-ins, which is 120,000 on a table, they get off the table and rejoin another table. So they have limited the big pot size to effectively 100 or 240,000 if they were both to get up that high, but still, I mean, that's obviously a pretty big swing either way. But anyways, let's get to it. Obviously, we got it set up now. Good that we have I did the first stream and we had one Perkins on the top on this one and the bottom on this one, and it was really tough to follow. Now we have Perkins, who is Gas Trader, on the top on both. Landon Tice is down here on the bottom. I don't know how much heads up you play, Scott, but
Oh, well, I mean, I get to the final stages of tournaments all the time, and I'm always playing heads up for the title. So, yeah, none.
yeah, I was about to say, let's be real before we let's start trolling already. So I don't play a ton of heads up, and I'll be the first to admit it. It's not my game of choice. If I was going to play heads up, it would be a sit and go format. So when it comes to ranges and it comes to proper play, I'm not your guy to like tell anybody, this is bad, this is good. Obviously, you're not either. So today, I mean, no, I'm just gonna be honest.
Yeah, no, you're.
I
But
think
you are qualified. Let's clarify. You are qualified to say, like, if you're heads up, you can bluff all in with king high. For sure, you are qualified to say that.
I'm qualified to say a few things. Most of them are wrong, but I will definitely try to analyze and try to guess hands periodically. But what we need from you guys at home is actually I need to find chat. Do I just have to pull up chat off the? I just need to pop out the chat as well.
Yeah, yes. And in the meantime, I will say I've already done that because I may not be a heads up expert, but I do know Twitch pretty well. So hello, everybody. Welcome to the show today. And thanks for joining us. I see a lot of familiar faces, the ACR fam in the chat. What up, Kentucky Wildcat? And Ghost of M, the mod spectaculars, and everyone else for joining us. It's good to see all you familiar faces. And don't worry, we are focused on the match and not any other BS nonsense surrounding the game. It's the game itself we're interested in. And actually, as it pertains to that, we were talking a little bit before the show that you have a little bit of money riding on this, Chris. I don't know how much, I didn't ask, but that it was kind of an emotional hedge. Like you're rooting for one and you bet on the other. And was that strictly just to maintain, a good emotional plane or what?
Oh, hold on one second. I just turned on. Hold on one second. There, thank God. I turned on the stream and I was getting double recordings. So, I'm good now.
Okay.
No, it was a small amount. It was a small bet. And I bet on Tice just because I think I've been playing with Phil Nagy heads up, and after playing with him heads up, I feel like 9 big blinds is not that much to overcome because Phil's so bad. That I assume Perkins would be too, but obviously Perkins has put in a lot of work. So once I got into it, I bet on Tice, and honestly, I was rooting for Tice primarily because you got a young kid who, if he loses this challenge, is going to be wrecked. Like he's going to be financially hurt. It's going to affect him. Where if Perkins loses, I mean, let's just be real. It's not going to really affect his day. It's not going to affect anything. Obviously, it's no one wants to lose. It might affect his ego or his pride, but I mean, he's not going to be eating ramen noodles for the next 2 months. So that's the main reason. Again, I was rooting for Tice. I thought Tice had a lot more invested in this because he needs it. This is his biggest stage he's ever been on. And, I know he's got from what I understand, a large majority of his net worth invested in him doing well. I don't know exactly the parameters of what their bet is and things like that, but, I know it's a lot. So I guess at the end of the day, I was rooting for Tice for a long time, and then I don't know. I want Perkins to win now, but not bad. Just because Perkins, you could tell, has been working at it, and his game has improved a ton. So I respect that, and I know he wants it just from how much work he's put in. And then all of Tice's coaches have been coming at him on Twitter. So I switched, and even though I have a small bet on Tice, I think I'm team Perkins now.
Given that you've been playing Phil a lot heads up, but that maybe it's a more of an erratic game, less wizardry than in something like this game where both of these guys are just studying their asses off. You feel like you've gleaned anything from the Phil matches that will help you sort of predict, follow along with what's going on here?
No, not at all.
No.
Phil, I love Phil, but dude, he's terrible. He doesn't play. I don't play proper strategy, but like he just clicks buttons. So like, I have several things on him I don't want to discuss, and I've actually told him on stream what they are. I've actually told him what he's doing wrong. Oh, we have a 3-bet. Our first 3-bet that I've seen from Perkins get through. So it says, I hope ACR adds special PLO8 jackpots where I can play versus only Chris Moneymaker and Phil. I could honestly be a millionaire grinding that versus them too. Eddie-town, if you want to play a little heads up PLO, I'm sure we can figure something out. If you want to play a little PLO heads up 8, we can get 100, 200 games started here if that's something you're interested in. We've been playing a little heads up PLO 8, and I've been enjoying it. I don't really play it much, but Phil doesn't play it at all. Like, he didn't even know the rules. So it's been pretty nice.
I mean, you pretty much like, I can just write him a 2-sentence email like, don't play 8s, 9s, and 10s and jacks. There you go. That's the game.
Why not?
That's where my advice ends.
What happens when the flop comes 9, 9, 10? You lose automatically.
You folded 9s full before you saw the flop. Feels bad, man.
Yep. All right. So I just get to bet every pot in the middle. That's like a 7, 8, 9 against you. That's good.
Yeah. Middle cards are.
All right. See, I play all the cards.
Ghost of M cannot wait to take you to a fancy ramen noodle place, Chris, the next time that you're in New York, so you can feel the sticker shock. Yeah, I don't even know if you can use ramen noodles as the go-to can't afford a meal anymore, because ramen is now really expensive.
No, ramen's still 10 cents a pack.
Oh, it is at the grocery store, yeah, but if you go to the restaurant, it's like $20 a bowl.
Yeah, see, if you're gonna eat ramen, you gotta eat ramen. You gotta eat 10 cents a pack.
Just put the bouillon powder directly on the raw noodles. Just go full low rent.
Yes, for sure. Sorry, I think we talked about earlier. I had side delivered to the house today. So my whole plan today was to lay some side and not be doing this commentary. But they needed someone in, so I jumped in. Now I'm trying to get the side laid. I laid 15 pallets the last 2 weeks ago, and it was the worst thing I've done in a long time. So I'm hiring someone else to do it right now, and I've got a few
It's backbreaking and tedious. And any landscaping, when you got a shovel in hand and it's just you, it just takes forever and it's so tedious. But that just goes to show you guys where we're at, where Chris is like, yeah, I mean, the stream, I was planning on just hauling rocks, and I'd really rather do that, but I guess I'll jump on the stream.
Yeah, it was definitely not a tough decision to, they told me I was going to be on stream. I was like, all right, cool. Who am I going to be in with? And they said Scott. I'm like, okay, I guess that's okay. I guess.
Yeah, Chris let out a long sigh that I heard all the way over here. But,
I did.
Yeah.
Hold on, I've lost the table. I want to keep it up here. So if we have any big hands, we can obviously focus. I'm gonna try. One thing that I'm not good at, and I've told my stream this. I've told everybody that'll pay attention to me. I'm not good at multitasking, so I can't play or watch and then talk for some reason. It's just not my strong suit. So if I follow the action, I will be a little bit quieter than normal.
That's okay. I'll talk enough for the both of us.
I'm sure you will.
It's funny that is probably why I'm less of a terrific player and better at calling games, and the players who are really terrific at the game are maybe more of a focused mindset that can just hyper focus on the one thing, but they don't do much else while they're hyper focusing, and I don't have that, but it also means that I am not terrific at playing. I'm just like, I'm competent because I can focus on 10 things at once.
Yeah, well, when you're playing heads up against these guys, you definitely want to be. The stats are updated here, so it looks like Perkins is down 20K. It's crazy. 20K goes really fast here because I have not seen any hands of significance.
Exactly.
It's been a slow grind. This is actually the thing that surprised me a little bit. I thought that Bill would be winning a lot of the unwanted pots, the pots that were sort of orphan pots. I figured he would be the more aggressive player and the one that was picking up some of these smaller pots, but It seems to be, obviously that's where the edge in his heads up is picking up the unwanted points. That's what, if you look at the stats, what Polk did to Negreanu. I think Polk won so many pots without going to showdown that's where all of his edge was.
I mean, presumably Daniel picked up on that, like, early. Like, why was that able to keep happening, do you think?
Just experience, I'm assuming. I mean, again, heads up is not like Daniel's an MTT player. I'm an MTT player. It's a completely different beast when you're playing deep no limit. It's a completely different skill set. And while, Perkins and Daniel and all these guys have been studying it, and even Tice have been studying it for a month or 2 months. I mean, Polk's been studying it for 20 years. And there are a lot of dynamics and intricacies that go into it. And that's why I don't even try to, tell the stream that I know what's going on as far as like what the proper ranges are. I just honestly, I've never studied it, so because it's not something I don't look to go heads up for rolls. I don't look for action in this arena, so it's not something that interests me very much, and I don't want to spend my time on something that I'm not going to make any money on or play.
Yeah, you don't make a habit of drag racing for pinks. It's not your style.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely not drag racing for pinks.
Well, so when we had MJ Gonzalez joined us on the show a couple streams ago, and he was of the opinion that heads up is the better you get at heads up, the more it's directly translatable to like full ring, a 9-handed MTT table. You agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, I mean, you look at some of the best online players or heads up players that there are, and obviously the game does translate. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you are playing heads up a lot after the flop. I mean, ideally, when you're playing in a tournament, you're going to raise and get it down to heads up. That's ideally what you want. So most of the hands you're playing are against one person. Obviously, just the ranges are different.
We got Landon considering a call here on the river to Perky's 2/3 pot value looking bet. He does call. Perkins is going to show absolute air. What a call with 2 9s from Landon there. Just read Perkins as having 2 Costco cards and was right.
That's a pretty sick call right there for sure.
Wow, can we get a replay on that one, Train? Did you catch that? I would like to see what Uno cards Perkins had there. I mean, he made his bluff look like a value bet, and he sure convinced me he had ace-x, but he didn't convince Landon.
Yeah, I didn't see how the hand went down. I'm gonna try and pay a little bit more attention to how the hands are going down and see if I can pick up a few things. I mean, obviously, I'm not gonna pick up tells, patterns, anything like that. I mean, these guys have been training for this, and they've got coaches upon coaches to not have that habit. So I know, when you're playing heads up, like they said, there's nowhere to hide. So yeah, if you have a leak, they're going to find it pretty quickly.
The one and only Fat Train is, as usual, the executive producer of today's show, clicking the buttons and spinning the plates behind the scenes. So hopefully he can pull up a replay of that hand for us, but he is doing 10 things at once. So we'll see. But we appreciate him as always, and we appreciate ACR for providing the platform for this cool match.
Yep, I enjoy watching the matches. I've watched this one a little bit more than some of the others. I think it's actually better when it's like this. Like, I just didn't get into the Doug and Daniel matches much. Just 2 pros just going back and forth. I mean, but this is a young and up and coming kid versus a businessman. This to me just, I don't know, it has a little bit more. I guess the thing that appeals to me is the fact that Landon is like, this is his whole role, and that, it's just more compelling, I guess, watching someone that really is playing for a big portion of their bankroll, where Daniel and Doug were not, and Bill's not, but Landon definitely has to be.
It's a good point. The Daniel versus Doug match, while of course compelling in many ways, was a sort of Goliath versus Goliath battle, which is, I mean, that's really terrific, but it's like the all-star game. All right, it's 15-14. We get it already. So I'm with you that this has some more interesting dynamics.
Hold on, I got to respond to this guy real fast.
The cat's meow. It's Landon's whole role. Well, the thing, I mean, yeah, okay. There's backers, and there's who knows what handshakes have been had behind the scenes. I don't know the exact ins and outs, but it's. I mean, the kid's 21. I mean, this is more than just money. I mean, this is sort of like well, I don't know. I mean, either way, doesn't this kind of help? Like any marketing is good marketing kind of thing. So it's like, all right, well, let's assume he gets his ass kicked around the block for drill by Bill, which of course is going to take, a swing back in the other direction. But assuming that happens, I don't know how much of a break it will be, as far as make or break. Maybe some emotional pain and some financial pain, but he doesn't seem like a kid who's going to like slither off into a hole in the sand because he lost this match.
Oh no, I mean, the bad thing is, I don't know how much he has, but from what I understand, it's pretty significant.
Yeah.
But he's a good player, and he'll get backed. And if it doesn't get back, I think he seems like he's smart enough to drop down to stakes to where he can build back. So I mean, again, I'm not going to worry about him, but at the same time, I do think it's compelling that he is playing for such a, again, that's what makes it almost, must see. Like when you watch TV shows and like what they have the amateurs playing with all the pros, those were good shows because you want to watch and see how the amateur does because they're playing for life-changing money.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, at the end of the day, this is life-changing money for him. I mean, if he wins $1 million here, obviously that's going to change his life.
Totally. He is making an over bet.
I was about to say he's got a really. No, it's not even an over bet. It's half pot size. No, never. Oh, what in the world?
Oh, thank you. It's the replay of that hand. I wanted to see.
Okay.
Okay, so Bill had opened, and then I'm assuming a 3-bet. Yep, from and a call from Bill. Maybe like a small suited connector he's doing this with. Landon makes not a good flop at all for 2 9s, just far away from him with the 2 clubs mean nothing. Goes check. Okay, so that convinced Landon he might have had the best hand on the flop. He checks again.
There. That's not as big a hand as yeah. The pot was bigger because of all the action pre-flop, but
exactly. So it just went check on both streets. That makes a little more sense. And then Landon was like, "What you got, Bill?" And Bill was
he had a 9-10.
Yep. Okay, so we had missed that the first 2 streets went check, but that makes a little more sense. Still a good call, but not as crazy as it seemed at a glance.
The cat's meow now. I mean, I know Sulfur was somehow involved with Landon. Maybe someone else knows a little bit more about it. Are they backing him, or are they just coaching him, or is it a little bit of both? Does anybody really know the details here? Because I'm curious.
My understanding is that it's both, but that's all I know.
So Perkins has got okay. I was gonna say he's got a big bet on the left.
Good enough to take her down.
Yep. And they haven't changed tables and they haven't done anything. And I mean, I'm guessing that this Perkins is not down 36K anymore. He's probably down closer to 20K. Looks like he's down 20K on one table. And I guess he's down probably 20K on one table and 13K on the other.
And what was the maybe Train can pop in the chat and answer this, or somebody in that you guys, I don't remember the exact total from 2 days ago, what the result was from that session.
There was a big session a couple days ago. There was like 160K or 115K, something like that. It was a big point.
Yeah, and that was coming off of 4 days ago, where Perkins made up about 70K of the deficit, but then I think it got reversed 2 days ago.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Perkins is going to have some days where he's going to win 50, 60K, but I can see Landon having days where he might win 200K. I just don't see Landon making mistakes big enough for 200K losing days.
Oh, there it is. So Ghost, did I misstate it as this being day 7? It's actually day 8, because day 7, the last session, 384 hands, and Bill was down 90 on the last session. This is day 8. Okay, yeah.
So day 8, and we're about a little over 10% of the way through.
So. Yep. So approached 3K out of 20K.
80 sessions. That's a lot of sessions. See, I could never do one of these challenges because I just wouldn't want to play this much. I mean,
yeah, it's a commitment.
It's definitely a commitment. It's a grind.
I mean, I'm sure like you must have been propositioned over the years to play heads up for some absurd this or some chic that, you know. Give me like a memorable heads up proposition you've had.
Well, I mean, one that was pretty. I've had a couple. The owner of Binions one night came in. He was kind of drunk and said, "I'll play any man in here for 10,000." So I decided I'd do it. I didn't have the money on me because we were playing 1-2 PLO with just some friends. This was the year after I won, or a couple months after I'd won. So no one really knew who I was yet, and we start playing, and he ends up beating me, and said, "Can we play again?" And he said, "Yeah, sure, but this time we have to play for 20,000." And I thought I'd pick something up when I played him, and so I agreed to the 20,000. I ended up beating him, and he obviously was not a very good boss because he fired the dealer on the spot when I beat him.
Get out of here! Are you serious?
Fired the dealer on the spot. Said, "Get out of my building. You're fired."
Oh my god!
So he said, "Give me another dealer in the box."
Wow.
So another dealer comes in the box, and he doesn't really ask if I want to play again. He basically says, "We're playing again for 20,000." No, this is Benny, this is Benny's dad. What's his name? Nick Binion is who this was. So he says, "Get me another dealer in the box. We're going to play again." So we play again. I beat him again for 20,000. And he fires that dealer. He says, "You're fired. Get out of my building."
That's unbelievable.
So he said, "Get me another dealer." And he stands up and says, "All right, you're not playing me anymore. You're going to play my friend." And he goes and gets Sam Grizzle and brings Sam Grizzle over to play me heads up for 20K. And I end up beating Sam Grizzle 4 times in a row for 20K a pop. And after every single time, he fired the dealer. And finally, he got his son, Benny. And this is like 4 a.m. by this point, and I'm pretty drunk. And he started calling me catfish. Like when he found out who I was, he's like, "Oh, you're the catfish. You won all that money." He said, we're gonna take your money here tonight, catfish." And so ended up by about 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm playing 3-handed with Benny Binion and Sam Grizzle and triple draw low ball, which I'd only played once in my life, and I'm just crushing him and just first time run good or whatever. Nick had gone to bed to sleep it off. Finally came back down about 7 o'clock in the morning, and it was like, what's going on? What is going on? I said, "I got to leave. I'm going to cash out." I'm at this point, I'm up like 150,000. And he's like, "How in the hell's the catfish winning?" I'm like, "Catfish have teeth, I guess. Fuck, I don't know." And I'm starting to run my mouth a little bit. And Dan Goldman, who was at the time, he was in the game playing the PLO game with me. He's sitting there behind me going, no, like you don't talk to Nick this way. He'll like bury you in the desert or something. Like he's not a guy that you want to badmouth and mess around with. But I had a ton of liquid courage and I had a lot of his money, so I was running off at the mouth like a young punk kid, and he wasn't real happy with me, but he paid me my money, and I went over and I played the $1,000 tournament that I was there for at I think it was the Orleans. So that was probably my best fun epic heads up match.
So,
although we did lose 7 dealers, lost their jobs that night.
I have so many questions. What's going on the table here? We got a big pot brewing on the right, so I'll get to those momentarily. We got a little over third pot bet from Landon, a call from Bill.
Okay, now this is going to be a big pot, I would imagine.
Would expect to see another bet here from Landon most of the time as Bill checks to him.
I would expect so with the queen coming. It does seem like if you're going to make a bet on the flop and the queen comes, I would definitely fire again on the turn.
Fire like Benny fired the dealer. He does. About 10.5K.
Yep. So this is interesting. If Perkins is on some kind of flush draw, it's tough to continue.
And he does not. He folds. Landon's going to take that one down.
Why is everybody putting focus to win in here? I'm just curious.
That's the keyword for the giveaway. We are going to give, I think it's a $55 ticket. We're going to do a couple of those. So type focus.
Oh shit, hold on.
Yes, the hosts are eligible. So yeah, that's a great point. So let's do focus to win.
Oh, I did focus to lose.
Oh, that's yeah.
Close. That doesn't work. Okay, focus to win. All right.
Focus to fire the dealer.
Yeah, sometimes winning is not good.
Jesus. Okay,
Go ahead.
Well, finish your thought and then I have a question.
Well, basically, I had one of the dealers come up to me at the World Series of Poker about 10, 15 years later and said, "Do you remember the night you played Nick Binion?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course. You know, how can you forget that night?" He said, "I was one of the dealers that night." I'm like, "Oh, dude, I'm sorry." He's like, "No, it's the greatest thing that ever happened to me. That guy was a dick anyways. I hated working for him." So yeah, I think most of the people were pretty thankful.
You know, like I was just waiting for a reason to leave that job, so thanks.
Yep.
Okay, so this was, just to clarify, this is after the win, but before ESPN aired the episodes.
Correct. Yeah. So this is probably July of 03. They started airing the episodes in August. So not many people knew who I was. We were playing 1-2 PLO again with just Dan Goldman, a couple friends. I was out there for $1,000 buy-in tournament, promotional tournament. I think it was at the Orleans, if memory serves. I can't really remember, but and so I was supposed to be getting sleep so I could play, but I ended up playing almost basically to the start of the tournament. And yeah, it was a pretty interesting night.
And this, so the poker world was kind of, there were, everyone was talking about it, but nobody else was.
Yeah. I mean, and like when we were at Binion's, no one knew who I was. I mean, it wasn't really public yet. Like I was able to sit there and play and no one knew who I was. And that's why when I volunteered, Nick sort of looked at me like, who the hell are you?
Right.
And then I was like, yeah, but I need to borrow the 10K. And that's like, he's like, what? You want to borrow 10K from me? Who are you? I'm like, I just won your big tournament here a couple months ago. He's like, what big tournament? I said, the World Series. I won the main event. He's like, oh, you're the catfish. I'm like, yeah, that's me. I'm the catfish. So then he's like, he said, I'll loan you the money, but look at me. You have to pay this back. Like he was threatening my life that I must pay him back. I'm like, of course I'm going to pay you back. I mean, give me a break. I'm not going to sit here and not pay you back. That's just ridiculous. Obviously didn't bring 10K to play 1-2 PLO with my friends. It wouldn't make sense, but
I do like the part where he's such a bigwig. He has so many other preoccupations that he's unaware of what tournament you're talking about, the main event of the World Series that's at your casino.
Oh, I mean, it could have been his daily tournament from the other day. I don't know.
Oh, it's so good. And then, well, okay, the other question I had was, did the other deal, like, one dealer after the next, did the next dealer that replaced the fire dealer witness the firing? Like, were they like, oh my God, I'm next?
Oh yeah, it's not like the poker room was big. And I mean, it was late, and I was actually surprised they had as many dealers as they had working that night. But yeah, it was quite crazy that the dealer sitting down in the box, you could tell, like, they're like, well, this sucks. I hope I don't lose my job. But
it's crazy.
Yeah, it literally, like, when he fired the first dealer, I'm like, what? That's when I started being a little bit more of a dick to him, because that was obviously not right. And that's when Dan started to be like, man, you can't talk to Nick like this. I'm like, oh, I can do whatever the fuck I want. Screw Nick.
We do have, I believe, a 4-bet and a call here on the left side table, and we see a flop.
Okay, 4-bet.
Ruin. We got a pot size bet here from
pot size bet. Now, what's going to be a pot size bet on a 5-10 king on a 4-bet pot? I mean, is it going to be a made hand, or is it going to be some kind of combination draw? Like, see, this is where I just don't know. Like, what solicits a? It looks like Perkins is sitting out, so obviously this must be a restroom break or something. But like, I just don't know what would solicit a pot size bet there. Like, what range?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't know enough to make definitive. Like, I mean, if it were my amateur ass, and I would be 4-betting with something like Ace King.
Well, of course you would.
And it would come king XX, but it's scary. It's 10 king with 2 diamonds, and I just don't even really want to see a turn card. So I'm just going to open pot what you got. But that's me. I don't know anything, you know?
Yeah,
So
I don't think that's what he had, but
I don't either.
It could have been. Oh, what's up, Folding Aces? Thank fraternity brother of mine. I'm glad you got into poker, and thank you very much for the words.
I think you speak for a lot of people, Folding Aces.
Yeah, and I was responsible for the dealer depression spike 20 years ago in one casino, yes. I never played much with Amir. He only played the World Series that one year. I didn't never see him again, rest his soul. Best cash game stories. I can get into a few of those as the time progresses, but we'll try to focus on the match as well.
I just the firing it's like out of a movie. It's what Ace Rothstein would have done in Casino.
Yep.
Which I guess, you know, it's really the movie is imitating life rather than the other way around. But it's just so cartoonish.
If I wasn't there, I would never have believed it.
Right. Like, it sounds made up.
It does sound made up. But yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people there that can attest to it and know that it happened. And that's just, you know, that was a dying breed of old school Vegas. I mean, that's, you know, you don't see that in Vegas anymore. At least I don't think you do.
Yeah, I get the feeling they've their tactics have become much more covert, whereas they used to just be overt mob guys sort of out in the open, you know. Ghost, Ace Rothstein is based on a real person. Yes, sir. I am aware of that, Ghost. I am aware. The movie Casino it's the Stardust, I believe, right? That movie is based on.
Yep. All the characters there are based on, you know, somewhat realistic characters, and the guy that beats up with the baseball bat, he's supposed, I mean, like, he played poker, and supposedly, like, I've heard stories where Doyle was playing with him, and like, you just couldn't upset him. If you upset him, he would literally go off and just beat the living hell out of you.
Yeah, I think that it's like that stuff sort of stopped flying right around the time they demolished the dunes. You couldn't really do that out in the open so much anymore.
I'm not really following the U.S. Open this week. I've been focusing so much on baseball. I'm not really looking at golf much this week, I'll just be honest. There's been so much action in baseball.
I feel like I'm seeing some smaller bets here from Bill than I had seen in the previous few sessions. You know, I'm seeing, like, that was, what was that, a quarter pot bet, basically, a little over a quarter pot bet. I feel like I hadn't seen too many of those, and he's making use of those more on the flop now. See, look, and here's a tiny bet from Landon on the turn, and he's going to get raised.
Now, the first day I saw Landon making some $400 bets, like some min bets.
Yeah.
And actually, I remember, the only reason I know that is because I remember the first one he did is like, is that a misclick? Again, I don't know, heads up. I don't know if that's a thing. Oh, he gets re-raised. Interesting.
So Landon's trying to say, I have the 4.
Yep. Or I have a pair of 7s.
Something very good. We'll see what Bill thinks of this raise. He thinks, I'm going to call.
Wow. All right. This is an interesting board. I mean, I don't think you can ever shove here as a bluff, can you? I mean, you just got called on a 4-bet.
Right.
I mean, yeah, he doesn't. He shuts it down.
I mean, you're just shoving into 7s full or 4s full so often.
Perkins has to have something here. Like, Landon can be bluffing, but Perkins can't. Perkins has to have a hand.
Exactly, and he is going to shove. And this, I mean, if you were right about the 2 7s, he just made quads, but we would assume the boat is full at the very least.
Yeah, I mean, I would be shocked if Perkins doesn't have a full house.
What he has is a pot-winning river shove. And Landon says, you got it. I was just kidding on the turn. Here's a big 3-bet on the left side table from Landon. And Bill's going to call him, and that is a board of royalty. And an open check from Landon here. Bill's going to bet pretty quickly. What you got, Landon? You don't like that board, huh? With your 2 6s? Landon says, no, I do not.
So Perkins looks like he got all his money back. I assume that, yeah, Perkins is only down 10,000 now. They're updating the match pretty quickly.
Yeah, the production team is kicking butt as usual, keeping it updated every few hands, or maybe every hand actually.
Surely Train's not doing it every hand. I mean, he's good. He's not that good.
Yeah, he's okay. Alyssa, I always want to shit myself if I bet all but a few chips in case I sneeze and misclick fold to an all in. You do set yourself up for that once in a blue moon pain to end all pains.
But again, why do you do that? I get it if you're like on a money bubble maybe and you want to do it and keep a small smidge back, but like you're playing right here. Why do that? I'm just curious, like what's the strategy for doing that in this heads up match?
Well, we had discussed that it might be a function of the software wherein they have big blinds displayed rather than money.
I do that all the time. I have big blinds displayed all the time. And when you click all in or you slide it all the way to the right, it puts you all in all the time. You actually have to, I guess maybe if he's typing in that he has, 45 bigs and he types in 45, maybe that's what it is. I've never typed it in. I always slide or hit the all in button. So maybe that's what it is. It could be a function.
In other words, you're saying if you do the slider all the way to the right, it does account for,
it puts you all in. Yeah.
Okay. Well then, yeah, maybe that theory isn't right. It's unclear to me. It doesn't seem like a strategic thing.
No, it doesn't seem like, it would make no sense to be a strategic thing. The only thing I can think actually now that you say that is if it is in big blinds and say he has 55 bigs, but it's 55, whatever, he's typing in 5 bigs. Maybe that's what that is, because he did leave himself with just a few,
Yeah, like a buck. Yeah. That would be my guess. Something like that.
It's not a software glitch, Canadian Luke, because I play heads up all the time, or I play heads up and I play on here all the time, and it never happens to me. The slider always goes to max. I play with big blinds. I played in cash. So it's definitely something he's doing, whether it's just putting the numbers in.
Huge pot brewing on the right side table. It looks like Landon made a big, I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch the size. He made a flop bet. Bill called. The board pairs threes on the turn, and Landon now open checks. Green light for Bill to take a stab here. Make believe he just turned 3 threes.
Yep, this is an interesting spot because obviously it's a really big pot, and they shouldn't. I guess when you're playing heads up, you can have any 2 cards. It's not like you're playing full table, so they both have 3 in their range and everything else. But I don't know. I guess it's an interesting check here. Like, is it something like the lines of 7-8 type hand or pocket eights? It seems like a hand that now he's going for value, so it's a middling type hand probably.
Yep, 2 8s makes perfect sense for something like this. Trying to get a call from a 7. But whatever.
Or 10 jack. 10 jack makes a lot of sense there.
Sure. River
2
pair.
overs, 2 overs and a gut shot, and rivers the top pair.
Makes sense. Looks like we're gonna have a guest joining us here shortly. The legendary MJ will be hopping on here in a moment.
Thank God. They basically said these guys have no fucking idea what they're doing, so let's just put someone on that knows how to play heads up.
Yeah,
you're welcome, guys.
Yeah, right. Let's just tell more stories from the mid 2000s until MJ gets here.
Let's see here. What the hell? No idea what that is. So let me think of another decent story. Trying to think of something that would be entertaining to everybody.
Oh, here, I can maybe try and prompt you. Did you ever, I can't remember if you ever joined high stakes poker, the cash game. Did you ever play on that?
Nope, never did.
Invited?
Yeah, I got invited. and I just thought, high stakes cash just again wasn't my game. I didn't know what the lineup would. They wouldn't tell you the lineup, and I didn't really want to go and just play with a bunch of crushers. I've only played that big back then a few times, and it was in a really good spots. Like for example, I played with Tobey Maguire, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ben Affleck, and all these guys in games. But I mean, I don't mind playing 100, 200, or 200, 400 against them. But I really had no desire to go play, Antonio Fandiari and Daniel Negreanu, Phil Hellmuth, and all these guys in super deep, no limit. I didn't see an angle that was a positive for me, so I just always turned it down.
Yep. And then what about? I also meant to ask you in that summer, like post win, pre ESPN, had you already signed with Stars before the episodes aired?
Yep, I did. So I signed with Stars about a month after I won, and they didn't really know what to pay me. I remember when we were doing the negotiations, they're like, "Yeah, I don't know what to pay you," and I was like, honestly, I just like 5% of the company, and it was a small company. It was like mom and pop. I mean, it was not like it was a big thing. And I was like, I'd rather have ownership of something rather than just get a paycheck. If I'm going to be involved with something, I definitely just want to have a little bit of ownership. And they're like, yeah, we don't do ownership. And I was like, all right, well, 1%, 2%. And they're like, yeah, we just don't do ownership. I'm like, at the time it wasn't that big a deal, but obviously kind of sucks now. But
yeah, you had the right idea.
I did have the right idea, and it ended up I ended up getting paid a really small amount, like really small, because they just didn't know what to pay me, and I was like, I didn't know what to take, so I took a really small number, and it was so small that after we Stars blew up, or with the World Series, I had a 2-year deal. They actually ripped up the deal and said, we're going to renegotiate and pay you a lot more money, which was really cool because they didn't have to. They had me under contract for another year, and it was paying me nothing. And Isai called me up. It's like, yeah, we're not going to make you stay with that contract. We're going to give you a lot more and basically pay me like 10 times as much. So
wow,
they really stepped up and took care of it. So
the dream, where like that, it's just sort of fair, but they're under no obligation to do that, but they do it anyway.
Yeah, and that's why I loved Poker Stars, and I loved working with Poker Stars, especially when Isai was there. I had a real good relationship with Isai. I could pick the phone up and just call Isai and say, hey, I want to go play in this tournament, or I think this is a cool promotion, and we would just do it. I mean, a lot of the promotions were me just picking up the phone and saying, Isai, let's try something like this, and he would just make it happen. And I love that aspect of the business. And obviously Poker Stars over the years has grown into this massive company. And, there's not really any calling up someone and saying, hey, let's try this. It's, you want to do something, let's fill out these forms and send it up the ladder to 15 different people and see what we come back with. And nothing ever really got done that I wanted. So joining ACR, I got that again. I talk to Phil almost every day. We get to try fun projects. We're growing something, and I just love it. I mean, I love, having a voice and being a part of something. And, like this next Moneymaker tour we're doing, we have some other fun promotions that are be coming out. So, oh wait, MJ joined. Let's go. We got a heads up guy in here. What's up, MJ? Get him in here, please. Help us.
Yes, you will. He'll be joining us momentarily, and once he does, there might be. I wonder if we can draw a sort of parallel here with Landon mindset and the sort of position that he is in here, which is so you were. I mean, he's only 21, and you were a bit older than that. I think you were like 28, right?
I was 27. Yeah,
27. Okay, so young man in your 20s, and something that maybe not as many people recall is that I believe it was in the same summer after your win, you finished second in a world Poker Tour championship tournament, wasn't it? To Phil.
Yeah, it was actually the second tournament I played. It was In February, it was a WPT event. It was the Shooting Star event,
Yeah.
and I finished second to Phil Gordon. And we actually
Right.
I got all in 3-handed
Yes.
with jacks against
Yep.
ace 7, and he's ended up spiking an ace.
And as I recall, he agonized and finally called, even though he knew it wasn't the right call, and just got lucky, which is extra tilting. He could have just
Yes,
folded.
yeah. If I win that hand, I've got a chip lead, and I might win again.
Yes.
But it was actually the first time in my poker career I actually suffered a bad beat. Believe it or not, because my only other tournament was the World Series, and obviously I didn't run very bad during that. So,
well, so now here's the potential parallel, and MJ, you can obviously welcome to the show, MJ. Good to see you, man. So I was just describing Chris's second place finish in the same year. So it was actually before the main event then.
the main event had aired. It was the main event happened in March of 03, and it aired, or May of 03, and it aired in August. And this one I played in February of 04.
Of 04. Okay, so it was after. Oh, and there was the second tournament you said. Okay, right, exactly. So here's the parallel potentially with Landon, which is Landon has had pretty huge early success here in the higher stakes streets, and now here he is on this huge stage, basically less than a year after a 200 plus K first place score. And I think, I know, Chris, you have mentioned the sort of mindset you were in, and having that second place finish in just a few months after the main event being one of probably the worst thing that could have happened to you.
We have a shove. Hold on.
Yes.
No, sorry, go ahead. Perkins 5-bet shoved.
And you saying that it was not a good thing to happen to you, because you were just like, well, shit, I got this hold'em thing figured out. And not that I necessarily think Landon would do the same thing, but I do see a young kid having huge early success. And if he were to do something equivalent and crush this match, could something like that happen in his mind, where he's like, shit, man, I'm invincible?
Well, the difference is, I can go ahead and tell you the difference. Back when I won, there wasn't the resources available now to get better. I mean, there were, like, you had Super System and like Mike Caro's Book of Tells. That's like the only two resources available to learn how to play poker. So it's not like it was something that you could just go out and get better at by watching Twitch streams or watching, there were no training sites yet. So I didn't know what I didn't know, where Landon is obviously still being coached, and he's still, there's so many resources out there now. He knows what he needs to learn, and I don't think it'll happen to him. I think he'll be perfectly fine. That being said, I want to welcome MJ Gonzalez in. For you to
What's going on,
know, MJ, you coached Daniel Negreanu during his Doug Polk match. He's a heads-up expert. He's playing like 500 1K against Dan O'Brien, I believe, in Vegas.
Dan Smith.
Dan Smith. Sorry, that's how much I pay attention to heads up. But we couldn't be happier that you're here, because me and Scott both have been admitting that we have no clue what Rangers are doing.
Yeah, of course.
What they're doing heads up. So
this is a different monster, and actually one of the main reasons why I wanted to come on, I was watching the stream, which, it's really good. And you guys were kind of questioning the $400 bet, i.e. the one big blind bet. So you're going to see that very commonly with both opponents, when there's typically, not always, but typically a big C bet on the flop, and the top, middle, or bottom card pairing on the turn. And it's typically when the middle card pairs, less frequently when top and bottom card pairs, but it's going to happen. You're going to have a donk range there. You're also going to see some donk ranges on 4-liners or straights, some flush draw boards. You're going to see 0 donks on flop. And so when you do see a donk, it's primarily going to be on turn, and it's because of the way the ranges are actually converging, etc., on textures. And that's why you're going to see that.
I'm so glad I don't play heads up. So,
but also it's also typical in full ring too, in cash games. Absolutely.
Maybe I don't play in the same cash games you do. I very, very rarely see a one big blind bet into a big pot in any situation in cash games. Definitely don't see it in tournaments. maybe it's something that should be incorporated more, because it
It
definitely
absolutely should.
I do use it in PLO some. I will say I use the small one big blind dunk bet in PLO quite a bit when a scare card comes on the turn, or some kind of card comes on the turn that I think
Mhm.
hits my range a lot better.
Mhm.
So I do use it in PLO, but that's the only time I've ever actually used it.
Well, it happens in a few different variants, and one of the scenarios you just described, absolutely in PLO. And I promise you, you will start to see more of it in the tournament structures and cash game structures. The higher you watch, it's absolutely solver approved. It is GTO, and I assure you, within the next 6 months, if you are actively trying to progress your game, you will absolutely incorporate that in your strategy. But I agree with you. Typically, even a year and a half ago, we weren't seeing that as much because, the information now is just free flowing. The accessibility we have the information. People are getting better. The level of recreation now is much better than they were 5 years ago, and it's going to continue down that path.
I don't know if the recreational players are going to be that much better, because I mean, at the end of the day, the recreational players, to be perfectly honest, I've been around for a long time, and the recreational players got better for a while, but the recreational players aren't studying as much. They don't really put the time in. They don't really.
Of course not. Of course not. They will not. They'll never study as much because they have other priorities, and we can both agree there. But the baseline skill level that an average recreational player has now is far superior than 10 years ago.
10 years ago,
That's
for
my
sure.
only point.
Yeah, 10 years ago. I just don't think it's going to get better 5 years from now. I think we're to a point now where there's so many resources now where you can get to a certain level with minimal effort,
Mm-hmm.
but to get better is going to take time and take work. And I still play with people that played the same way 20 years ago, and those never change, which is what makes this game so great. But yeah, the average skill level of your typical player is definitely elevated from the past, but probably not going up more than what it is.
Well, I mean, it's always going to be a progression, right? Like levels are always going to rise in the future. Just learning through osmosis, playing with better players, you're going to pick up on some things. Like Chris, if you played with me in my game, like within 10 sessions, you're absolutely going to see some things that you've never seen before, and you will start to incorporate that. So you're learning through osmosis. But for the most part, I mean, you're right. Recreationals don't study as much as professionals, and as they shouldn't. You know, it's all just different priorities for the game. But I think like you get someone like Bill, who 5 years ago was a complete whale, quite literally one of the worst players I've ever seen. And for the first 3 years of us working with him, he never really tried to retain or regurgitate, right, the information we were giving him. And even accidentally, he was making some plays, just learning through osmosis of having conversations or us playing with him, etc. So I think it's a bit more common than you would typically think, and I think the bar just slowly raises as time progresses. That's all.
Well, the one thing is you're also comparing Bill Perkins to the population, which is not fair because Bill Perkins is a lot smarter than the average poker player. If you go play 2-5 or smaller buy-in tournaments, the level of intelligence is not equal to Bill Perkins. So their osmosis might be happening, but it's not going to happen as fast.
We can agree there.
Hold your thought quickly because we have a huge pot developing here on the right. It has gone check on the turn. It was a pot size, is a 3-bet pot size bet and a call on the flop. And now another open check, 2 open checks in a row here on turn and river from Bill, and a check back from Landon. He just had the queen there, but it was good enough, and Landon is going to scoop that up. Now, if Bill makes a huge move on the river there, you think Landon's going to look him up with that queen?
Yes.
Yeah, I do too.
It's not close.
Yeah, I was about to say I would even look him up, and I don't play heads up. I'm definitely not folding a queen there.
Yeah,
you just after the turn check, we just don't believe him.
Well, it's not that we don't believe him, right? The ranges are starting to converge a certain way, and Landon is fully aware of this. And so with that flop, for example, the 2 Broadway 2 suit, very often the solver is going to say, okay, you're going to have pot size bets and checks, and you're going to have very minimal block sizing. And the sizing I mean with block is 27%. So obviously he's going to use a big size more often. Landon is never folding a queen at all, ever, for any reason. And when it goes check, check, Landon has no problem calling river. So it's a very standard hand from both parties.
I think it might be a good time, depending on what we have, another 8K here in the middle on the right side table. We'll keep an eye on that, but it might be a good time to do our first giveaway about halfway through this session. We're going to give away a couple $55 tickets. If you haven't already, we'll go another minute or two, type in focus to win, get yourself eligible to score yourself a freebie courtesy of ACR.
They
So
said
typically you're going to see an overbet
replay
here
that
on this turn.
You're going to see an overbet by Perkins.
Yeah, so typically on this texture with the sizing used on flop, you're going to see a pot size bet or overbet or check. You're not going to see you're not going to see small bets.
You're not going to see $4,000 bets. You're going to see
pot or 1.5x pot.
Just the ace high there, good for Landon. I'm going to scoop up that 8K.
Now, obviously, you're talking straight GTO, and if I was playing either one of these guys, I would be playing more straight poker or non-GTO exploitive poker, whatever you want to call it. How quickly would you adjust to someone playing like that, or would you just keep playing your GTO style, or would you try to start exploiting my?
Well, it depends on the severity of the mistakes. That's actually a really good question, Chris. So there are two types of mistakes. There are frequency mistakes, and anybody know what else the other mistake could be?
It's going to be sizing mistakes, I'm assuming, or range mistakes. Playing too many hands or not playing as many hands as you should.
No, so there's going to be frequency mistakes and there's going to be direct EV mistakes, right? And so effectively, everything is going to be a frequency mistake, but the more severe it is, it turns into an EV mistake, right? So it depends on the type of mistakes you're making. If you and I, Chris, we play heads up, right? If you're making severe mistakes, then yeah, I'm gonna deviate to exploit you severely in its own right. But people need to understand is when you're playing quote unquote GTO, what that actually is doing to your opponent, it's forgiving mistakes, right? And so what people need to really understand is you can't exploit anybody without a deep understanding of what GTO is doing. If you don't have a baseline of GTO, you're never going to be able to deviate enough or accurately enough to exploit them to the max, right? Mm-hmm. So, and you guys would be surprised how monkey GTO actually is. I mean, it is incredible how aggressive and how sticky and just how YOLO it can be at times. And then also on the other side of that coin, sometimes it's incredibly conservative. It all depends on range construction and sizes used, like you were saying, Chris, and textures. So it's just knowing the heuristics in each node across the game tree, right? So if you have a full understanding, or at least a good understanding of how ranges are executing strategies on textures with sizings, like you're not going to be put in the blender too often.
I follow. It's funny because I remember when GTO first started coming out, and I was like, okay, that's just got to be a really boring, safe computer thing. And then people started following it more and more, and the people that were following it were not the safe. They were the monkey players, the ones that were sticky and. So, I mean, immediately, if you've been playing long enough, you realize that GTO is not this conservative style. It can be, like you said, but for the most part, it's not. It's going to be in there, and it's going to be, blending hands. So here it looks like that we have a replay here.
Yes, we do. And we're going to find out what hand here in a moment. It was an open from Landon, a 3-bet.
This is going to be a low frequency 3-bet from Perkins.
And he does flop himself a gutter to the jack, and he opens pot.
Again, very low frequency.
Landon with the call, and Bill
should go check almost 100% of the time.
Right, which I believe it did. Yeah. Oh, Landon had the queen 5 here. Yeah. So check, and then Bill just can't do anything on the deuce of clubs. Now, that's never going to work. Is it fair to say, MJ, if Bill tries any move here any other time, if he opens turn, he's just going to get called again, right?
Yeah.
So he has no option. Like after he gets called on the flop, he just has to shut it down.
More or less, yeah.
But you can't just shut it down every time you get called on a board like that.
Right.
I mean, I don't play heads up, but I know you just can't shut it down every time you get called on the flop.
You're absolutely correct. It also is directly correlated with the suits that you have, et cetera, and the sizings that you're allowed to use. But with that exact hand in this spot, you're going to see a lot of shutdowns. Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's do the opposite of shutdown. Let's open up this contest and pick the winner for the first $55 ticket. Ghost, that's your cue, brother man. Let's. I don't. Who has the winner? The software to pick the winner. It ain't me. But I would like to pick the winner.
We did have a winner. It's Heggia1 has won the giveaway.
Oh, there it is. Yes. Hegija won. Congratulations. And we will do another $55 ticket later in the show.
You know what, Scott, what I'd like to do, and Chris, the next winner you guys choose, I'm going to give a free version of Hybrid Poker or of our software that is not released yet to whomever wins the next giveaway.
Whoa.
And I'm going to give it to him. I'm going to give it to him for 1 month. It is not released. It is we have our opinions that it is absolutely the best thing that you'll see in poker to date. And we'll let you try it out for free for 1 month. And we'll give it to whomever wins the next giveaway.
Super sick and
generous. I want to get in. Hey, let's shut down the stream and let's just let me and you vote for this. Damn it. Focus to win. Let's go. All right.
Yeah, you guys can check it out at hybridpoker.com. We will have a lot of updates very soon for you guys.
Cool. And MJ, since you're on here, and I've never talked to you before, but what I do usually what I do on Thursdays, I have a coach come on and kind of focus on their coaching platform. They'll tear apart my game, whatever, and
Sure.
I'll do a database review or hand history review, whatever it is. If you're interested in doing that on a Thursday, bring Hybrid Poker on, maybe show some of the platform. If you're interested in doing some of that stuff, you can have you on one Thursday. And
absolutely, man, you got me.
Sweet. All right.
Overbet here on turn. Oh, that's going to be good enough for Landon.
So for the people that are newer to poker or not really savvy with heads up yet, if you notice, you're going to start to see patterns with these turnover bets. And remember the key point from the last time that I was on, you're going to see them typically on disconnected turns. It's very important that you're not doing it on wet dynamic turns. You're doing it on disconnected turns.
So like if a king comes on the turn here, you're going to see an overbet generally on the 4-8-9. So
yes, you can.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
And different parts of your range are going to execute different sizings. Most of the time they're going to be mixing. But when a king does come on the turn, absolutely you are allowed to overbet X% of time. And I'm not going to go too deep into it.
Right.
But yes, that's typically where you're going to see it for sure. And then there's different, if you're in position, you're going to have 1.5x. If you're out of position, depending on what the flop action is, like if you check raise flop and a disconnected card comes on turn, you're going to have a 110 overbet, and maybe even some 135% overbets. And then if you're out of position, you can have some 1x, 2x, and also 135% overbet. So it all depends on kind of where you're at in your range, and also the texture and in and out of position is going to dictate the sizing used.
Okay, I know Daniel pretty well. I was on Team Pro with him. We talked back in the day, and we have a pretty similar style when it comes to MTTs. I'm wondering how you coached him. How quickly did he adapt and pick up these concepts and was able to play with Doug? I mean, I know Doug's been playing for years, and he tried to get into this heads up realm in a matter of a couple months. So
yeah. So Daniel was interesting, right? Daniel and Bill are not the same. Bill is a piece of unmolded clay, right? So it's very easy to start developing heuristics and, these are the rules, don't break them. But when you work with someone like Daniel, he's been such an elite player in his respected field for so long. Like there were all these bad habits from all the older information that he was using and executing. So we had a big chunk of time, I would say 2/3 of the month and a half that we had before the match started, of breaking down all these bad habits and then explaining why. So a big thing that we believe in hybrid poker that isn't executed or talked about nearly as much as I think they should. Like when you're coaching somebody, and anybody can just say, "Hey, this is what the solver does," but if you don't explain the why, they're not going to be able to execute it. If they can't teach it back to you, they can't execute it. They don't understand it fully. And so with Daniel, we had to spend the majority of the time breaking all those bad habits. And so when you saw him first get into the match, he was only allowed 2 sizings because he had all this other information that he had to retain. So later on, like halfway through the match, he got a lot more sizings. He was actually executing appropriately. And then towards the end of the match, he had even more sizings and more defends and more, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So with Daniel and Bill, it's night and day, but Daniel is 500 times sharper than people think that he is. Absolutely.
I know he's super sharp. Yeah. I mean, I know he's a smart guy. And that's why I was kind of curious I think I'm a smarter guy than what most people give me credit for. I try to play the dumb card as much as I can, but I think that's a good thing in poker to make your opponents think you're not very bright. But I know I'm a pretty bright guy and I can pick things up. So I'm not looking to go play heads up against anybody, but at the same time, I mean, I know this can help my game in general. I mean, I'm always looking to improve.
We have a very strong thought here at Hybrid. The better you become at heads up, the more it's actually going to transfer over into 6 max and 9 max cash games as well. A lot of the same heuristics kind of converge over, obviously excluding pre-flop.
Here's a good question from Mike Carasone. Can you give an example of one of the bad habits from Daniel that you referenced?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Quote, bet to find out where you're at. That is not a thing. It should never have been a thing. And it was the only thing 12 years ago, right? That's not a thing. And so like when you have that in your strategy and in your framework of thought, not only is it very bad in the immediate sense, but it actually correlates to a lot of other points of your strategy across the entire game tree. So it ruins this spot and 4 other spots down the road.
I trust me. I used to always say, I'm going to see where I'm at here.
Yeah.
When I'm sitting here with my buddy and teaching him how to play, back in the day, it was always, we're gonna bet here, see where we're at, and then I've learned that is a bad play, and it's not something you want to put into your game. Obviously, I'm still learning, but
of course, we all are.
Well, my biggest problem was I got complacent for so many years, and I thought, I was just on a run bad streak for about 6 years, where I'm just getting cracked all the time, and I didn't really look myself in the mirror and say, you kind of suck at poker right now. You need to step on the gas and actually start trying to get better.
Yeah.
And, but now I have 3 kids and I have other priorities and other things going on. So I don't have as much time. That's part of the reason I don't play 10Ks very often. I don't go and try to be a crusher. I'm perfectly happy playing $600 tournaments and living the dream, staying around the family and all that stuff. But at the same time, I definitely want to improve my game. So this is all very interesting.
And that's what we really focused with Hybrid is we focused on doing all the solver work for you, but most importantly, we humanized the data. So we brought easification in and said, look, we spent years. We have 30 servers running 24 hours a day for years. We've went through all of the data across the entire game tree and we humanized it for you. So for the first time, we can show Chris Moneymaker his entire game tree, everything he's good at, everything he sucks at. So what we did is we're like, okay, we're going to organize that into statistically relevant spots. The spots that Chris is going to be in the most often and that he sucks at, we have AI that we built that will directly put you into that spot. And for example, if you suck at check, bet, you can just click one button and be dropped into check, bet. And you can play that spot until you no longer suck at it.
We did just have a big shove on the river on the right side table from Bill. Landon did ultimately fold, and that was a nice pot for Bill. I also do see John Party entered the chat. What up, Party?
Can you tell me something I'm good at, MJ? I mean, I know Party, and I don't think Party's really good at anything, but maybe MJ can find something.
I see. I love Party as a human. I don't know about his poker skill. I haven't really dived into it at all, but I like him as a human being, and to me, that's all that matters.
I think the opposite. I think he sucks as a human, but his game's great.
Well, that can't be true. So obviously, I'm just going to take MJ's read on this one.
Let me ask you guys this, as it pertains to the sort of old info versus the new approach that you guys have been describing. You look back now, and it's like it just seems like it's like a bygone era, and it's just like not how we approach the game anymore. Do you guys see it like an evolving game to the point where whatever we're discussing now will be looked at in the same way 10 years from now?
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully.
I mean, that's the way poker's been for the last 20 years. If you're not getting better from 6 months ago, then you're behind. I mean, there's always, seems to be something going on. Like, to me, this min one bet donk lead is completely new to me. And again, I thought it was a mistake the first time I saw it. Canadian Luke asked, is hybrid poker a heads up solution, or do they also have six max and ring solves?
So that's a very good question. We actually focus primarily on six max and full ring no limit hold'em. We also have heads up that is incredibly strong. So we focus on the entire gambit in the cash game realm. And we will have tournaments down the road. We will also have PLO, but right now we are specifically focused on cash games.
Bill making a decision to lead flop here. 2/3 pot or so.
This is a 3-bet pot, so he's continuation betting.
Okay, so he 3-bet pot and it's 410. So what kind of range generally? I mean, did he bet half pot there? How big did he bet?
It was about 2/3 pot on the flop.
About 2/3 pot. Is that going to be pretty standard in most spots?
Well, on this exact texture on the 4-10-6-2 clubs, you're generally going to have a block sizing, so 27%. You can also have some 67s, which that's the size that Bill used, and some pot size bets.
Now,
and so the range.
This is a disconnected
turn card.
Turn card.
So you're not going to see overbets in 3-bet pots unless you're ripping.
Okay.
So since this
is a 3-bet pot, you're not going to see even the disconnected queen come up and bomb so much.
No. Unless you're going all in.
We have a very connected 9 of clubs on the river, and Bill's going to lead out another like 2/3 ish pot, and it's good enough for the win.
Mm-hmm.
We are still, doing the next giveaway here coming up shortly. Type in focus to win, and get in not only on the $55 ticket, but on the very generous, awesome offer from MJ, 1 month of as yet unreleased software. Do you have a release date for the public?
September.
Oh, so it's going to be a little while.
Yeah, like we wanted to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect. If you're not first to market, you need to be the best, and that's the route we chose.
Well, yeah, definitely not first to market. Things have been around for a long time, so yeah, be the best. And so I guess I got a question with hybrid poker then. So for example, I did a database analysis, which I'd never done before recently. Mm-hmm. And I did it with Ape Styles, and I found out one of my biggest leaks is suited connectors. I really have a problem. I play too many suited connectors deep in tournaments, which I didn't even realize I was doing. Mm-hmm. So is hybrid poker going to be able to identify, because I didn't know I had a problem. Is it going to be able to identify my problems because I don't know what they are?
Immediately. And I mean that. So I'm one of the few people that actually says exactly what they mean immediately. And so I already know from just that one piece of information that you're not fully recognizing or educated in yet. And I do not mean this to be insulting.
I've got a very thick skin. It's okay.
Okay, good. Care. So what that tells me immediately is that you actually don't understand how your range functions as a whole in these spots. So you're more focused on your hand. But what a lot of people don't seem to understand, and everybody understands at the highest levels, is that anything your hand does is directly derives from what your range wants to do as a whole. So people need to learn how their ranges are constructed and how their ranges are performing. And then once you understand that, then it's very easy for you to take your hand outside of that said range and execute that strategy. So when I hear that you're overplaying suited connectors deep in tournaments, one, that makes me think, just on a very generic basis, because I haven't dove into your information, is that one, maybe you're not implementing ICM or considering ICM pressures nearly as much as you should, and two, you're unfamiliar with exactly how your range is constructed from each individual spot. And those are very easy things to correct, and they glare immediately.
Well, I'm definitely interested in getting in and learning a little bit more. I'm probably going to be like Daniel. I would have to tear my game apart and restructure it, because I play a lot of my game as feel, a lot of my game is, gut instinct, and
that's actually a really good point, Chris. Like, I want the people to know more than anything is that if you use anything from hybrid poker, Chris, with you, for example, Chris Moneymaker is still step 5. So you don't lose yourself, right? Like, you still have your aspects of the game that you're going to be executing. But we still need to learn how to walk before we can run. We need to understand theory. We need to understand how it's executed. We need to understand the heuristics and the subtle nuances. But once you do, you still get to put yourself back in the mix and go, okay, this is how I'm going to execute moving forward. So it's not like learning a completely new language and you're never speaking Chris Moneymaker again.
Ooh. I still get to bluff. Good. All right.
Big pot guys here on the left side table. We got a call on the turn, and we're on the river here, and both of these guys have less than obviously a pot size bet behind. Bill does check it one more time over to Landon. He just check called the turn, and Landon does ship the river. Is Bill going to look him up?
We lose.
The pumpkins doesn't really mean a lot.
You lose.
We lose.
Big moment here.
It's not. We lose immediately. You can tell by the.
Just because he didn't snap call or what?
No, it's not just because he didn't snap call, but the timing that he used to check on turn with, etc. Check river. I mean.
So it was like a snap open check? Is that what tipped you off?
I'm not going to go too deep into it because it's something that we need to fix and address, right? But there are these subtle things that you can pick up on. That I'm quite sure Landon's team is picking up on, and we're trying to make adjustments for. So I don't want to get it twisted. Bill is not playing perfect. Bill is playing good. Bill is playing exceptionally good for how much time he had before the match, but he's not playing perfect, right? And another thing is very common in the poker world is I don't think people fully understand the depth or the complexity of variance. It is so severe. It is unreal. And so when people say, the results matter, sure, but results don't matter in any one given session as far as how well or how poorly you did. Very often in some of the matches that I've lost the biggest numbers, I played the best, right? So it's just about executing the strategy across the board. Don't sweat 2 or 3 buy-in swings. Don't even sweat 10 buy-in swings. We only look at the mistakes being made. And if you're playing well, it's just going to happen regardless. If we played a million hands, me and you, Scott, and we were literally break even. We were the same skill level. Expect 80 to 100 buy-in downswings. Now, if any humans saw 80 to 100 buy-in downswings, they're going to be like, this guy's trash.
Right.
But it's not real. That's just actual variance. And so what people have looked over is when you're playing heads up, variance is right now in your face. You were playing every single hand, right? So it's like you're going to see what variance actually looks like under a magnifying glass.
Man, I finished a biography of Ulysses Grant recently, and it reminds me of his lifetime span because he was in the army as a soldier and was an extremely successful soldier, but then he was out of the army and sort of aimless for a long time in the sort of the middle of his life. He didn't really know what he was doing. He didn't really know everything he tried to do for a living or business he tried to start kind of failed. His father-in-law was like, this guy's a freaking failure, man. And it wasn't until later when he became a general and then the president. And I guess what I'm saying is you have to sort of look at these long timelines. Only in the retrospect of a lifetime can you really get a sense of what the whole thing was about. If you go at any one point on the timeline, you can think way too highly or way too lowly of it.
Yep. 100% well said.
So, how often is someone like Bill Perkins working on his game, like with you?
Yeah. Okay. So I wake up every single morning at 8:30 a.m. I have breakfast with my daughter, and we get to work 2 to 3 hours. Then he'll have the match, and then we'll spend 3 to 5 hours at night going over all the hands played, not just significant hands, and we'll solve down any spot we need to solve. And then Bill will also spend time on hybrid poker software that isn't released yet, that one lucky winner will actually get to use. So Bill I'm personally spending 8 hours, maybe even 10. Bill is spending about the same, sometimes a little bit more.
Each day?
Each day, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, and we do that with all of the clients that we work with. And then what we're primarily focused on Bill right now because of his challenge. We did the same thing with Daniel. But this is why that you're seeing such fast progression levels from both Daniel and Bill.
Well, yeah, if you work at something 8-10 hours a day, you better get better.
Right.
Now, MJ, you mentioned, okay, so you have breakfast with your daughter. How important are you considering these other aspects of your life, such as like, what does your breakfast consist of, et cetera? Like the other aspects of your life play into how well your poker focus goes. Do you think that's important?
I think it's incredibly important. I think it's very commonly looked over. And it's actually something, specifically food is something that I personally struggle with. I had a very unique upbringing as a child, so food wasn't always there. So now that I'm like peak net worth and all this bullshit, I always make sure unnecessarily that the food is stocked, and very commonly I gravitate towards the sweets and all that stuff because I didn't really have that as a child. So I struggle with a healthy, good diet. But outside of that, like, my actions and my behaviors and decisions are always correlated to what I want my success levels to be. So for example, I don't drink, I don't do any drugs. I do nothing that brings any focus away from my max success. But food is a problem with me personally. Damn. Like, I can't, if I see a bacon cheeseburger, like, I don't care. I'm in. Like, let's go. For example, I was playing.
Me too.
Right. And it's common with everybody, right? It's like, it's just this thing that kind of makes you feel better. And so, like, I was playing 400, 800, 1600 no limit hold'em the other day at the Win at one of the private games. And I'm swinging 200K, right? So at one point I'm down 240,000 and I'm like, it sounds really good. Chicken wings. Right. And then, so I ordered chicken wings at the Win because they're the stone nuts. And, we're playing, and now I'm up like 60,000 or whatever. I'm like, it sounds really good. A salad, so it's like directly correlated with my mood.
That's interesting. The comfort food. I mean, it truly is a thing. Like, I'm gonna crawl inside a pile of mashed potatoes if I'm stuck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I guess I'm perma stuck then, because I love all that stuff. Give me the wings, give me the burger, mashed potato. Let's go. I'm life
but you're
stuck.
also from the South, right? So it's like in your DNA to have that comfort food.
I think it's my blood, actually. Yeah, DNA, blood. It's all there. I've, since this quarantine period started, I've probably put on about 50 pounds, which is really sad. I need to get in some better routine. I don't travel much anymore. I just sit around and play online poker.
Mm-hmm.
So I got no good excuse, and I'm going to whip my butt into shape sometime soon, because
I struggle with weight myself. I'm 36 years old. I'm 5'10", and I weigh about 150. I want to weigh 175.
You want some? I'll give you some.
Please. I don't know if I want any of the some that you're going to give me. I think I want some of your muscle.
Yeah, that's all gone. I when I graduated, I wrestled I was 5'8", 130, and now I'm 5'8", 260.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you don't want any of this.
Hey,
MJ, do you want to compare six packs on camera?
If you need to, sure.
Yeah, if I need to, yeah, I'm compelled.
if that's something you want to do, Scott, I'm fucking in.
It's one of those things that's so, you talk about it and think about it, but it's just so hard to execute. Your body and your brain just fight you. They just fight you, and better. But who has the willpower? Some do, but it's so hard.
Look at Party coming here trying to take advantage of me. I'll make a bet with y'all. He wants to make a side bet on weight loss. just taking advantage of me.
I mean, I'm interested in making some weight gain / weight loss bets for sure. I don't want to do anything small, but I'm in for sure.
Well, I'm not in because I've got a weight loss bet with Phil Nagy, and I have to
hold
wear.
on. Actually, sorry, Chris, but so take a look at this. Bill, you see Bill leading here, right? It's exactly what I was
Paired
saying
board,
before. So
paired
that is a
board.
heuristic. That is a rule of thumb that when you start to understand the rules of thumb, the game opens up for you. And so Landon is going to be raising about 40% of the time, and his pot size, his raise size should be half pot, right? So these are frameworks. Once you understand frameworks, like if you're playing poker correctly, you don't make decisions. It's literally watching a movie. They happen to you. What you're doing is you're rolling with your RNG, and then you're executing on the roll. That's perfectly played poker.
My RNG is going to be really high aggression.
Well, you need RNGesus.
Yeah, you damn right I do.
You guys can see the total stats there. I saw a kiss the baby. The total challenge, there you go. We're a little over 3,000 hands into it, and Perky is at minus 146, although we have seen swings of 6 figures in single session, so that doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot.
Party, you can hit me up for weight loss bets. I already have to wear a Borat costume during the World Series. That little mankini.
You're gonna wear the mankini during the World Series, huh?
If Phil makes me wear it, we have a side bet, and I'm losing horribly, that the loser has to either wear it at the cage or at the main event, and I'm losing the bet horribly. I don't know if he's gonna make me do it, but if he chooses to make me do it, yeah, I have to wear the mankini, and no one wants to see that.
Well, but Chris, is it going to be the thing where it's like the T-shirt and it's printed on the T-shirt, or are we really talking?
Oh, no, we're going full bore mankini.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, it would be ugly. It would be devastating for people to look at. Like
Parental advisory.
Yeah, I would feel sorry for people.
Could you imagine that poor bastard that has to sit in your seat after 8 hours of play?
Can you imagine the poor bastard has to sit next to me?
Slides off the seat because you were sitting there for 8 hours. That poor son of a bitch. Jesus Christ, Chris.
I'm hoping he doesn't make
some
me
baby
do it.
wipes, bro.
No shit. I love it. MJ just brings it for real. He doesn't hold back. I love it.
No. I actually am. Sometimes I'm a bit too blunt. I don't believe.
No, I like it. I like it a lot.
I don't believe in biting my lip.
Well, that's one that, like, when I do the coaching on stream, I tell all the coaches, like, listen, if I make a mistake and I do something wrong, point it out blatantly to me. I mean, like, be brutal, stick the point home. I mean, I can take criticism. I've got a very thick skin, so I like it. I like the directness. I like
it's not just the fact that you can take criticism, right? Because most elite humans and humans that are trying to progress are welcome to criticism. But this soft-handed bullshit where you're like, yeah, maybe you could try something different. Like, no, that doesn't fucking help anybody. Like, no, this is incorrect. This is why. Let's focus on this to correct this, right? Let's ask ourselves, why are we making these mistakes? Cool, we've ironed that out. Now, these are the rules of thumb. These are the heuristics. Let's start executing on that. When I have a conversation with you like that versus the one earlier, right? You're going to retain so much more from just me being straightforward with you and not wasting any time. And on top of that, most coaching platforms are on an hourly basis, which personally I think is complete bullshit. And I don't, it's like, it skirts on the line of unethical, because the problem with it is when you're learning and you're paying by the hour, you're only retaining about 30% of what you learn in that hour. So then now the next session, you have to go back and relearn the 70%, or you're not going to execute correctly. And so it just keeps getting put off, and the coach is just gaining dollars. So this is why I think coaches should be in packages or subscription models. This hourly bullshit, it's for the birds.
This is why drill sergeants don't ask, if you fellas don't mind scaling that wall, let me know when you're finished. They take a much different approach, because that's how you train up people for realsies.
Yeah.
So how is Landon playing, in your opinion? Is he playing like optimally, or is he? I mean,
no, he's not playing optimally, but he is playing quite well for someone that has had as much time as he had to learn the game. So he is making mistakes. Absolutely. He's making a decent amount of mistakes across the game tree, as expected, right? But that being said, The kid is coming with some incredibly sharp shit sometimes that surprised and impressed me, that he was able to execute that, retain that, and put it into a strategy with the little time he had. So he's working with good people. Landon is smart himself. But yes, there are still mistakes being made across the entire game tree, but it's as expected. He's playing well. He's not playing optimal. That being said, I want him to get fucking buried. And I have nothing against him, by the way. I like all the guys in the camp. I have nothing against him, but I want him fucking buried because I know it's not Landon, right? It's Landon's team, and they can afford it. I promise.
Exclamation mark MJ. That will live on in the chat.
What's that?
Bury the kid.
Oh, so you did? Yeah. He put exclamation point MJ. Bury the kid.
There you go.
Bury the team, maybe, not bury the kid. Let's do bury the team.
It's all the same to me.
Yeah, I guess so. You know, I don't know if you heard before. I've got a small bet on Landon. Just
You
after
motherfucker.
playing. Listen, after playing Phil Nagy heads up,
Yeah.
I figure 9 big blinds is pretty easy to accomplish. I mean, let's just be real. So I was like, okay, if Bill's not working on his game, then, which I did again. I figure Landon's going to bust his ass. I didn't know how committed Bill would be. So I made the bet, but now that I've been watching and I've seen, I mean, again, I'm a novice heads up player, or
Sure.
beyond novice, but I can tell just based on patterns that Bill's been working on his game and how he's been playing. So the fact that Bill's taking this so seriously, I'm actually rooting for Bill now to win. And the fact that Landon, you know, like you said, it's not really his money. Cause I didn't want, you know, Landon could be financially ruined from this, you know, if it was all his money.
Well, I mean, that would be his eyes were bigger than his stomach, right? Like when you make grown man decisions, you have to settle with grown man consequences. And when you spout off at the mouth, you know, without fully thinking about it or talking to your team or whatever the case may be, like you make the bed, you live in it. It's very simple.
I completely agree. Difference is I'm 45 years old.
You know what? That's fair. That is absolutely fair. He's still green. And look, if he loses, I think it'd be very good for his maturity level, his responsibility level, and just kind of like forcing him to grow up a little bit. If he wins, it's going to be very good for his career. I think both win or lose, it's a free roll for Landon. This is all really good. But I do think that ego runs rampant in poker, and I'm not even specifically talking about Landon any longer, but ego runs rampant in poker. And if you don't learn these, if you don't learn at these opportunities early, they tend to stick with you for a long time, i.e. Tony G or like a Phil Hellmuth, you know, shit like this. And like Phil's a little different because he has this niche and this persona that he's playing quite well, like the WWF. But I think the more lessons you can learn at an earlier age, the better you're going to be long run.
I don't doubt that one bit. And, you know, I think Phil's, like you said, he's a little bit of a unique individual. He's got an ego without a doubt, but he also has some insecurity type things that go on with him. And that, you know, all these things combine into the poker brat. And he plays the perfect, I mean, he is the biggest attraction in poker when
Can't argue that. You cannot argue that. He has done so well with the marketing. And look, let's just be fucking real. We're all just human. We're all going to do stupid shit. We're all going to say stupid shit. And this is all just one big learning process. And like all these fucking pitchforks, like, dude, eat a dick. Like every single person makes fucking mistakes. It's very simple. Some are worse than others. Cool, fine, whatever. But like, it's just like
you're speaking my language.
It's like everybody makes mistakes. Learn from it and move the fuck on. Evolve. Or if not, be a douchebag and fucking get shunned. Either way, but like the whole Philip Nagy thing, like it's just like there's different sides to the story, and you know the mistakes can be made. Like, should he have said anything as a CEO? Probably fucking not. Cool, whatever. But have an apology. Don't do the shit again. And look, there's also some more context that he's with his friends on a risque named podcast in the first place, which is quite commonplace to make jokes, whatever. Like, as a CEO, should you do it? Nah. But should you be fucking burned alive for it? No. Like, he made a fucking mistake. He did something stupid. Who gives a fuck? Like, he apologized. He won't do it again. Move the fuck on. That's just my personal belief.
That's been my take the whole time. And then you get all the pitchforks, and like Vanessa's been dealing with shit for whatever reason. It makes zero fucking sense. I mean,
I think there's middle ground both ways. Like there is some. Yeah, Phil did fuck up. It's very simple and right. Like, and Vanessa does have a little bit of weight in this kind of a matter because of how big the other thing was blown up, right? So like, yeah, there's a little bit of truth on both sides. There's not one right side. Like, people tend to go to these fucking pendulum swings to the extreme, and it's like there's so much more nuance to these social protocols than people let on. Like all these people in their in their white ivory tower pedestals, like, relax, dude. We're human. We are gonna fuck up.
Yep. I promise you fucked up a lot. Just the camera's not there to pick up, or the camera doesn't care.
Of course. And like, look, should Vanessa fucking think about this or, talk about this publicly? Probably. Does she have to? Fuck no. Right? But
and she has. She basically came out and said, I looked at it. I don't agree with it. It was wrong. At the end of the day, that's a solid answer. You don't need any more than that. But
yeah,
I mean, obviously she'll probably come out with something else.
Should she fucking quit this fucking dream spot of hers? Like, it depends on how much conviction she had with the Blitz thing. If she had all the conviction in the world, yeah, you probably fucking should, so you don't become a hypocrite. If you're just like, hey, this fucking happened, this sucks, let's change this, or hey, I understand the subtle nuances and the social protocols of why Phil did what he did, and it won't happen again. Like, should you throw away your fucking career? Probably fucking not. But it's all gray area. There's no one exact right answer. Like, shit is just boring to me.
The only right answer is don't be blowing up social media like you're a saint.
Yeah. You know how many stupid fucking shit I've done? Like, how about this? In the past fucking month, I've done 4 stupid things. Nothing unethical, obviously, but I've done some pretty stupid fucking things, right? And it's like, we're just human. It's gonna happen.
I have done more stupid things in my life than I care to mention.
I'm doing something stupid right now.
Yeah, I would change the shirt if I were you too. I agree. Anyway, back to poker. I have so much passion, and I'm kind of an intense person, right? So like, I tend to digress a ton. I will focus more back on the poker.
No, that's good. I'm glad. First of all, I like everything that you're saying. Second, I love having you back for poker because, again, we have no fucking idea what we're talking about. So
that's why I joined the first place. It was like, oh, wait a minute. No,
they suck.
I should probably talk some poker. No, I'm just kidding.
No, it's cool. Listen, there's a reason when they said we need someone to commentate on these things. I'm like, pick me last. I'll be the first one to admit I don't know proper strategy, and I'm not going to provide.
But sometimes that's a good thing, though, right? Like, having the direct balance of color and all this shit. Like, it's a good thing. The only thing that I would say is, like, look, this is my second time being on here. I see myself coming on more in the future. Where the fuck is the hybrid poker logo with the guy that's commentating and the main attraction of the guy that's playing? Where is that? Come on, boys. Philip, let's get a fucking hybrid poker logo on this.
Well, that's not Philip. It's, hey, come on, train. Let's go. We'll get it up
attention, fat train. Attention, fat train.
Yeah. We can definitely,
especially if I'm giving away fucking free packages to the viewers. Let's get a logo up.
Well, when you come on Thursday, don't worry. We'll have logos and all. We'll be promoting the hell out of it. So I do that for all the coaches. I do it partly because, one, I want to get better. And two, I like to give. I have had Ape Styles. I've had Rob Kuhn. I've had Ryan Lamplandi, Faraz Jaka. Just giving everybody a platform for their teaching, and show people how they teach and what you can learn and what you're getting when you sign up with that coach. And I think it's a good platform to educate and let people see a little bit behind the curtain.
Sure. Actually, to jump onto the poker, you just saw Landon bet turn there. And so if you looked at his sizing, he used pot. So pot is a good size, but 110 actually actually performs slightly better. So that's one example of a spot where you can have some overbets and on some leads on turn. And so 110 performs better than pot, but also which performs quite well is a 67% bet. So what you like, I notice a lot of people are just kind of guesstimating at the pot sizes and stuff. Like, so you're going to see a lot of 27%, a lot of third pot size bets, a lot of 67s, right? And it's not just as, hey, this is third, this is 2/3, this is 3/4, etc. No, there's more nuances to these bet sizes because they perform slightly better.
Which is so sick that it's 110 is so much better than pot. I mean,
now is it quote unquote so much better? No, it's not. Could you get away with pot instead of 110? Absolutely, of course. But when I mean it performs like subtly better, I truly mean it. It ain't that big of a difference. Like you're just fine if you're only using pot there.
right. Okay.
But when you're playing at elite level,
But the fact there's a difference is significant.
We got a replay here quickly. This was which hand we'll find out in a moment. 3-bet pot. And I believe Bill ended up winning this with an ace. We're going to find out what Landon had in the hand. So Bill does make a good flop for his hand. And he leads out for half-ish pot, a little less. Call from Landon. Now, what do you think of this turn card, MJ? I mean, Bill still likes his hand, or is there a but?
he's okay with his turn card, but it favors Landon.
So he open checks, and Landon checks back. And now with that king, I don't see Bill getting away from this pot for love or money. Landon's going to lead out into his face, and just an easy call. What you got? And Landon had a worse ace and the flush draw.
So guys, if you notice that Landon did not overplay his hand.
Yeah.
Commonly we see, oh, I have ace-3 there. I flopped a pair to flush draw. I'm going to fucking check raise, or I'm going to get it in. You know, like that doesn't work that way. Why overplay that hand? Because you can mirror that hand to ace-3 of spades. Like you don't overplay these hands just because you have added equity, etc. Right? Like Landon played that hand to perfection. Bill played that hand very well.
So let's explain the logic, right? Because why would it be considered an overplay when you have top pair and the nut flush draw to just go nuts?
Because at the end of the day, you have ace with a 3 kicker. It's almost as simple as that. There's other complexities and subtleties, but at the end of the day, you have fucking ace-3. And if I told you there's no suits on the board and you have ace-3 in a 3-bet pot, how happy are you getting it in?
Reluctantly.
Right. So why does it change? Right. There's some subtleties. There's some subtle differences. Right. And there are some things that executes at different capacities, but humanizing the thought process is first and foremost, understanding the rules of thumb, and then adding the complexity.
Well, I think the non-expert answer from someone like me would be like, well, what makes it different is that you have like a bunch of cards in the deck that makes you the nuts. You don't just have ace-3.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And I guess you would say like, well, therefore what? You still have ace-3 right now, or what is the answer to that?
Yeah, I mean, right now you can mirror that to ace-3 of diamonds, ace-3 of spades. Right this second, you have ace-3. Do not overplay it. Do not risk it blowing it off your hand. You know, the worst thing in the world is he raises there and gets ripped on and blah, 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 right? Like there's so many bad things that can actually happen. I don't want to get too deep into the strategy of this, but on the surface level, there's a reason why you see Landon execute the strategy the way he did, because it's correct.
Okay, and then so by the time we get to the river, I mean, he's value betting because of the turn went check. He thinks ace is the best hand, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Very, very interesting.
Perkins is up 1K now. I think this is the first time Perkins has had the lead. So
it
about
is
fucking time, boys.
Huge swing here just in about the last 10 minutes. We've seen him come all the way back to even plus some.
Me and Phil are not playing our weekly heads up this week. He's got family issues that he's taking care of. It literally has nothing related to what happened, but he legit does have family issues. So he's dealing with that, and I'm going on vacation for 2 weeks, so it'll be probably a month before we kick back off again.
Where are you going?
We're going to go to Gatlinburg and Universal Studios. So,
Yo, can I get in on this fucking heads up shit you guys are doing, or what, man? I'm in. Let's go.
Dude, you ruined it about an hour ago when you came on. You ruined it. So no.
Did I ruin it? I don't know if I ruined it. I might just take the line of, You want to test yourself? Let's fucking get it.
I don't want to test myself. I don't have an ego, so I don't give a shit. So, I mean, everybody has an ego, but I don't. I do, but I don't. Like, I don't respond to. I don't. My dick's not that big. I don't need to like measure it against everybody else. So.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Now, Phil, Phil might take you up on it. I don't know, but
No, I have my own big heads up matches that I'm working on right now.
Give an overbet shove here from Landon, and Bill is gonna give her up. Landon takes it. I do have this is a good question with regard to that ace 3 of hearts hand from Russ DT. Are we sure Landon betting 2/3 river there with correct? What do you think of the size?
Yeah, so he's gonna have some options for some sizings. He's gonna have some block sizings. He's gonna have some 67s, right? The 2/3. So the hand is just a bit too good for pure block sizing. So you need to mix in some bigger size bets as well, right? And they help support balance each other. And like, for example, in the check call check bet line, right? In that node, you're going to have 10% over bets, 15% big bets, and 25 or 20% block size bets, right? And like, that's how the range is constructed. And so you need to have the block size and the overbet size help balance each other, and you need to have the big bet size and the block size help balance each other, etc. So I think he played it absolutely great, and I'm sure he's mixing to figure the bet sizing he wants to execute.
What do you think we're targeting there? What are we trying to get a call from that's worse?
A worse hand.
Okay, then. Moving along.
I thought Train said logo. Did he just log on and like cough logo or something?
Oh, did he say something into your headphones?
I guess he put your logo up on stream somewhere or something.
I don't see anything.
Yeah, where, Train? Oh, to the left of Perkins in the upper left corner there.
Oh, baby, I see it. That's great. I appreciate that, boys.
I think he said he needs it on both tables though, but that's good though.
Hey, Train, can we plaster it across the middle of the board, please?
There it is, baby. That's it right there. I'm just kidding.
I will be right back, gentlemen.
So what's your history, MJ? Like when did you get started in poker, and like why heads up?
I've been a professional poker player now for 12, 13 years. I was a professional drummer before that, and we were in a fairly successful couple bands. And I looked around one night on tour and was like, we're fairly popular. We're doing big things that we thought were big at the time. And I looked in the mirror and I was like, I'm fucking poor. Like I don't have a real future here if I'm not the top 0.1%. And I came home off tour and I was kind of motivated to find something. This was many years ago. And my neighbor was having a private game, a 25-50 cent private game next door, and he invited me, and I said, okay, like, let's go. And I had no idea what I was doing. I lost $30,000 my first year. It was my only losing year in poker. And I immediately fell in love with the game.
Now, where were you at this time? What city?
I was in the Bay Area.
Okay, in the Bay Area. Okay.
Yeah, and so I fell in love with the game, and just took it as far as I could. And then now the reason why heads up, I am a live poker player. I love live poker. I also play online as well, but primarily I fell in love with live, and I just like to battle. I don't care about ego or any of that shit. I don't care who's better than me. I don't care who I'm better than. That doesn't matter to me. What matters is I just love to battle, and I love to battle for incredibly high stakes. I think it takes a special soul to be able to bet these types of sums of money with airballs, etc. And I enjoy the people at the elite level for the most part. And so it's just where I decided to call home.
Very cool. Have we played together before? We
have not. I don't believe we have.
Okay, I was about to say I don't recognize you, so I'm pretty good with faces, but I've seen a lot. But
Yeah, I don't think we have. No, I actually stayed away from tournaments. 2018 WSOP was my first World Series, my first full schedule, and then COVID happened the next year. Otherwise, I would have done it again. But Daniel drafted me in his 25K fantasy, and no one knew who I was, so he picked me up for $1, and I ended up winning $1 million that year across a bunch of different tournaments. I think I cashed maybe 12 events or something. I don't know.
now, have you been playing cash with Daniel or something, or?
I was coaching Daniel, and that's why.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why he chose me. I had a lot of fun at the series, so I cannot wait for this World Series of Poker.
Very cool. So I'm just curious, like, how did Daniel know who you were? How did he reach out and say, like, for example, I got a coach a long time ago that no one knew who he was. But I went on a fishing trip with him, and then we played a poker game afterwards. And this kid was so good. I went up to him immediately. It's like, man, you got to help me with my game because my game sucks. Yeah. And again, at the time, no one had ever heard of him. He's a complete unknown. His name's Calvin Anderson. He's a really strong player. He's more Zen than anything else now. He's like some Buddha monk now, but he helped me a lot. So, but how did you and Daniel come across each other? Like, how,
It's actually a funny story. So, me and my partner Matt Boyd, we met on Live at the Bike. They hired me on at Live at the Bike, that Matt was working there. And then they decided that me and Matt were going to be the faces of the commentary at Live at the Bike. And so when I met Matt, we immediately kind of like this test each other on knowledge, right? And I had one side of the game figured out, and he had another side of the game figured out. And we were both coaching students, and we were like, you know what? Let's not cannibalize each other. Let's join and start a company. Within 24 hours, we had a business model and a business plan in place. We went to the bike and said, look, we need an office because we're building a product, and this is going to be our business, and we'll still work on commentary. And 8 months goes by. We're working every day, 15 hours a day in the office, along with commentating, making dust for money and just scrounging. And we're playing 5-10 and 10-20 at that time. And 8 months in, I walk out at 2 a.m. I think it was a Wednesday or Thursday night at 2 a.m. And I see Phil Hellmuth walking by himself to go to the cafeteria, one of the WPTs or something. So I walk up to Phil and I said, hey, I'd like to talk to you about X, Y, and Z. I'd like to show you what we're doing. I think you're going to enjoy it. So me and Matt give him a 10-minute spiel, right? He was like, you got 10 minute, kid. And I was like, okay, fine, whatever. So we pitch him, and he, quote, this is the best thing I've ever seen. I won't be able to sleep at night, but it's not for me. I don't need it. This is perfect for Daniel. Phil's ego, right? It's just huge.
I love it.
Yeah. So,
this is not
Phil's agent flies out to LA the next day. I haven't slept all night. We've been up for 36 hours at this point. Phil's agent comes, and we have an hour and a half meeting, and then we give him the spiel and we break everything down. We show him absolutely everything. And he goes, this checks out. Absolutely. You have a meeting with Daniel in 2 days. We fly out to Vegas. We have the meeting with him. Within 10 minutes, we close the deal, and we actually signed with the agent.
So you're with Poker Royalty now?
Yeah, we were Poker Royalty, and then
Sweet.
Then we just went across the private high stakes world and the recreational world, and here we are now.
What a story!
It's such a perfect illustration how it seems on the surface like, just a sort of like, wow, you just got so lucky, like you just stumbled across Phil in a parking lot, and then it sort of snowballed from there. But really, MJ put himself in a position to be successful. He was, for one, in that parking lot in the first place. He was out there. Number two, he had something to pitch. You get yourself into these. It doesn't just happen to you. In other words, you do what you do, and you be good at it, and you keep showing up. And these sort of things that seem like coincidence and luck will present themselves to you over time. But you got to be there, and you got to be good.
That's a good point, Scott. It is quite common, because people don't really know me yet, to think that me and Matt were just handed everything from Perkins. It's quite literally the opposite. Like, Perkins is part of our family. He's a part of the company, but he's not just handing us shit, right? Like, we don't just get, whatever. So quite, I mean, for example, the first poker session I ever played, Bill was like, all right, I'll back you in this game, whatever, who cares? And it's a 400, 800, 1600, 3200 no limit game, 6-handed. And he was like, all right, if you win, you're great. If you lose, I'm dropping you. We're done.
No
I was like,
no pressure.
I was like, all right, cool.
Fuck variance. Let's go.
Yeah. So I ended up winning, whatever. But Bill doesn't give us a fucking thing. We only get what we earn. It's very simple, and other clients, like no one hands us anything. We've worked hard every single day for years, and we're going to continue to do that to be able to provide you guys with what we think is great information.
River check here on the left. Who wants that 13K and change? And it's Perky with an overpair. You surprised to see him check back there?
I didn't see the action, so
he didn't check back. He was the first one to check because now he's the button. So
the button was on him. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, he open checked. Can you get a replay of that one, Train? Did you catch that? The last hand on the left side table. Thank you very much. Replay will be coming shortly. Did anybody reset today? No, I don't think so. No, nobody has hit 120 today.
Yeah, there've been a lot of small pots today. It hasn't been. Oh, we do have hybrid poker on both tables now, but no, we haven't flipped tables yet at all.
The training program for Bet Bluff that MJ has been describing comes out in September.
Yeah, it's hybridpoker.com. You can check it out. So typically on 954 Rainbow, the majority bet sizes are going to be 67. You're also going to mix in some block sizes like Perkins did.
Smell a raise incoming here? Nope, just a call. And Landon
nice hand
had a gut shot, river to king, and it was good.
Yep. Perfectly played.
So Coinbag said, what's the price or prices for hybrid poker?
For what exactly? For the private coaching like Bill? Or for the driller and stuff like that? For the software?
Probably for the software, I would imagine.
We haven't figured out price points yet. We're going to be doing that in a month. We're going to go over with a firm that specializes in that, and we will make sure that it's absolutely fair and 500 times worth it. So it will not be incredibly expensive. It will be accessible to absolutely everybody.
What about the heads up that you're doing for Perky? For
Perkins, yeah, that's private.
I mean, no, you threw it out there, so I thought I'd ask.
Yeah, I was just clarifying the question. That's all.
Yeah.
So here's another thing that's accessible to everybody. Another $55 ticket giveaway and a 1-month subscription to the software we have been describing. And it is going to be the summer. You got a whole summer before the public accesses it. So it's quite a generous sneak peek that MJ is going to give to one lucky winner, which we will pull momentarily here as we conclude today's match. So get in, focus to win in the chat. Draw that winner about 1 minute.
Normally, I don't want to win these raffles, but yeah, I think I'm going to try to win this one.
Yeah, no, I definitely already put mine. I'm like the kid who's like at the crosswalk pressing the walk button just over and over and over. I know I only need to press it once, but I'm just going to keep typing it in anyway. Focus to win, and we will draw that shortly. And in the meantime, hopefully Train's got that replay queued up. It looks like we're continuing on for a couple more hands here on the right side table.
Well, I just gave Bill the green light to continue playing, so they might go longer, boys.
Oh, okay. Well, and here is that replay. Think Train. Bill did have that overpair, so this was
on the stream if it's ended for interview.
Sure. So yeah, quickly on this hand, open from Landon and 3-bet, of course, from Bill with the Cracker Jacks, and Landon does call. Good flop for Bill, and it's good enough for a third potish bet, and he does get called by.
I'm going to say that's 27%.
Oh, was that okay? There you go.
I don't know. I'm just guessing. I think that's what he was saying. 27.
Let's go with that. No, I like the exact 27.4% bet. So now an open check on the turn. Check rather. Yeah. And then another open check, presumably waiting to call whatever Landon bets, but he does not bet. Landon had a
showdown value.
Yeah, showdown value.
Hey, Train, can you send Perkins via WhatsApp the link to come join this for the interview, please?
So are they done then?
Yeah,
He's gonna do the
he's
interview?
tired. Yeah.
Okay, good deal.
Yeah, Train's on it. So Perkins will join here momentarily. In the meantime,
Now I got a question. So say he had King 6 there. He didn't have showdown value. Frequencies, how often is he going to be betting pot and betting to win with King High there? If he had, instead of King 5, he has like King 6 or King 4. I don't remember the board.
Like he just has an air ball.
Yeah, a low frequency with that particular hand.
Okay.
Right, having more board interconnectivity is better, and will have a higher frequency of bluffs. But kickers and stuff like that are very, very important, and having board interconnectivity is incredibly important.
Has anything surprised you guys thus far?
Two spots from Landon, where I would have bet dollars to donuts that he would not have found that spot, and he nailed it to perfection, and it was quite impressive. And then another thing was there were some sizings and frequency mistakes, and even some EV mistakes from Landon's side that I thought wouldn't have happened, that has happened. Perkins is about on par with what we expect, but obviously we work with him every day, so we have an understanding of where his skill level is.
Hey guys, let me get my music straight. Hold on, I'm on the wrong thing. Off this.
Yeah, so we're not really surprised with Perkins' play thus far.
Probably buy
but we are going to be unleashing him fairly soon with some more toys.
Unleash the Kraken. Here we go.
You guys testing?
Yes. Can you hear us?
All right, I hear you guys. Okay, thanks. Sorry about that.
No worries. Welcome. I'm not sure. I think everyone's seeing a little bit of wonkified camera angles here, but I'm sure Train will fix that. Hey, nice spin up, Bill. You really turned that session around like halfway through. It really started going your way, and you ended up plus 10.
Yeah, I mean it felt icky in the beginning, especially in the 3-bet pots. When you flop something and it's like all the suit you don't have, or you know what I mean, like ace king, and it's like club thing, and you're just like sitting there. And I just played. I did what my coaches told me to do. They had a plan. I followed the plan as best I could. I had a couple distractions also at the beginning. Like my daughter wanted me to drive her somewhere, and she's number 1 priority, so I had to. Okay, let me figure her out. And I told her I was going to drive her, and then my phone was ringing for work stuff, and I was just like, oh gosh, this is going to be a bad session. But those distractions died down, and I was able to like catch a rhythm, be mindful of my timing, because sometimes the music. I had bad music playing in the beginning too, and I was like, oh, this is distracting me, And so then I got into a rhythm, and the cards came my way, and I think I played well. So.
Hey, yeah. Perk, how do you feel about airplane mode for the 2 hours that you're in?
Yeah.
What's that?
How do you feel about airplane mode for the 2 hours that you're playing? And then obviously if it's an emergency, your assistant or Lara can come get you.
Yeah, I could do that. I just got to inform a bunch of people that need
that's true. Never mind.
Need to get me there. You know what I mean? Like may need to get me how to go.
That's a half an hour job in itself.
Yeah. It's like, we got to notify people.
I just love the notion that you're playing for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you're, Dad, I need a ride to the mall, and you're like, oh,
basically, yeah. To a friend's house, there's a little gathering of kids, and it's important. And like, I may not remember this match when I'm 80, but I will remember my daughter and how I treated her, and so I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Like, she comes first, and Landon's understanding. I say, hold on, I got to talk to my daughter. He's like, go ahead. So we talked about this thing. So he's a good guy. We're all good guys. We're playing for real money, and it's high stakes, and we're doing our best given our circumstances.
So I'd like to bring up that ace-3 of hearts hand quickly. This, Bill, was where you had the ace-10 off, and it was ace and 2 hearts on the flop, and you ended up calling. It went check turn. Landon made what he thought, I think, was a value bet on the river, and you called him with the ace-10. Were you surprised to see him roll aces with the nut flush draw there? Like, in other words, it could have gone crazier on the flop?
Yeah, I think that was that pot where like I called, and I was like, I feel like an asshole here calling. I typed it in the chat. Was that hand or no?
No. 3-bet pot.
3-bet pot, yeah. And then he bet ace-3, and I had ace-10, and I'm just like, well, like, my time has come. You know, it's like I'm never folding. And then when he rolled over ace three, I was really shocked because I was like, I guess he can be targeting a king, but I just don't think I have enough combos to call him. Okay, never mind. I'm not allowed to talk about it. I was shocked. How about that?
Okay.
I love that.
I was shocked. I'm not allowed to talk about it, but I was kind of like, whoa, that's interesting. That's pretty.
I liked his side.
Here is the hand. Let's watch it quickly, just for a refresher, and because I don't remember exactly how the action went on the flop. So this was a open from you, Bill. 3-bet from Landon with his ace 3 of hearts. You call him with the ace 10. It comes ace heart heart. I believe you bet when check to. Yep. Landon, of course, calls, and that was what I was surprised about, the just call. I mean, just because I'm an amateur and I'm raising there like a donk, but not Landon. He calls. The turn goes check, check, and then when the river comes to sort of meaningless king, you're really never folding here. Then, right? When he bets into you, what are you thinking?
I mean, I'm thinking, oh fuck, I just got fucked by a guy who's got kings. That's what I'm thinking.
Oh.
You know, like I'm thinking the worst. Like when you're a poker player and you have a good hand, you instantly start thinking of all the monsters under the bed that are gonna get you, right? It's just like, oh god, he's got kings, or oh, he checked back ace king on the turn or something. You know what I mean? Trying to trap me or some aspect of that. And then you start thinking of the other hands, like ace jack, right? And so, you know, it's when he bets, I have to call in my head, but there's a very reasonable shot that I'm dead, that I'm just going to lose, right? And it's just that's the problem with not the problem. That's just the beauty for the fans and the action of 3-bet pots is just like you just get very sticky in a lot of situations, both sides, right? And so for me, it was a very easy snap call. With the emotional part going, oh, you're dead. Prepare for death. You know what I mean?
Barring the emotion.
It feels like, you know, when you're in an airplane and people are scared of flying and there's a little bit of turbulence and they're like, oh, we're all gonna die. And, you know, that's how I felt, you know?
You know, barring the emotion, Landon is going to have a mix of sizes there. I think he played the hand perfectly. I think Perkins played the hand perfectly. I think it's a standard hand across the board.
Yeah, I would think, again, coming from just the amateur perspective, I would not expect, after calling river there, I would expect to see those river 3 kings or 2 hearts air. I would not expect to see a worse ace.
You really don't want to be turning your missed flush draws into bluffs on the river, because you know you want your opponent to have missed flush draws. So you're blocking some of the bullshit that they would fold when you do that. And that's just, you know, solver kids know this. If you run through the solves, there are rare exceptions, but you just don't want to be turning missed flush draws and bluff. And you saw that in a hand where, you know, I bet and gave up, right? Like, why didn't I fire the third book? Because I missed my flush draw, right? So I think that's pretty standard. That's not like a big secret out there. I mean, you know, it's something that I didn't fucking know 3 months ago, right? But I think it's pretty standard play not to be turning hands into bluffs that have value.
Sure, and I mean, I know that it's, you know, fairly standard, and I don't ever want to get caught in the like, oh, we take this as a given, so therefore everyone else does too. Just, you know.
No, definitely, I didn't know it. I mean, like, literally, I would have been blasting off with missed flush draws every single time 3 months ago, right? Like, it would have been standard operating procedure, and now what was used to be standard operating procedure is only in the rarest of circumstances can it happen.
Well, now, and forgive me for harping on this one hand. I'm just fascinated by it. So let's say Landon decided to overplay the hand on the flop. Let's say he decided to come over the top there. Are you ever folding ace 10?
No, I guess I'm felt it.
Okay, and in other words, you're just like, I'm never folding this hand, and I just hope you have a flush draw. Like, what would be your thought behind I'm never folding?
I mean, he can have a flush draw. He can have a pair and a flush draw like he does. You know, he has. You know, there's a certain percentage of your hands that are bluffs, your raises that are bluffs, and I just have too much equity to call. I have top pair. I can turn 2 pair, you know. So I'm just never ever folding in that spot. And if he has a set or whatever, God bless him, he gets all the money. It's just the way it goes, right?
Yeah, I mean, the complexity of this hand all boils down to a true understanding of range versus range. Having a true understanding of how the ranges are actually constructed, and knowing what 22% of your range actually looks like and what part of said 22% of your range does at X frequency and Y frequency. When you have a better understanding of that, you start to have a better understanding of how the mechanics of this game functions as a whole on these textures. So that's really important. And so him going berserk at a high frequency with ace 3 of hearts there, that's not a thing, and it shouldn't be a thing. When you have ace little with a flush draw on ace high boards, you should start to understand and compare that to ace 3 of diamonds or ace 3 of spades, just ace 3 without the flush draw, right? And it'll serve you better long run, because Bill's right. 4 months ago, I mean, and believe me, I played more hands with Bill than anybody in the world. Any pair plus flush draw, Bill's legitimately trying to put his entire stack in at any moment, right?
I'm trying to mortgage the house, right?
Yes.
Hey, I'll go on record and say I am too.
Yeah. And so the thing is like when you start to, and I'm like way novice, like I'm at step 1 out of 10. But when you start to do things that kind of aren't allowed in GTO, it means you're playing unbalanced, right? And if your opponent picks up on that, they start to exploit you, right? And you become exploitable, right? Can you get away with it once? Yeah, you can get away with it once. But it starts to tell about where you unprotect other areas of your game, right? And so that's why you generally just go off the rails.
Well, I haven't really said anything yet, but Perk, I'm impressed. I bet against you going into this match. I didn't think that you would put the time and the effort that you have into it. I'm happy to see that you have. You've made it really a good match, and I'm going to be happy to lose this money. I'm actually rooting for you now just because of, I love to see, again, I thought, this would mean a lot more to Landon and you just wouldn't put the time in, but you obviously are, and it's just great to hear or see and fun to watch.
I actually think your bet at the beginning was plus EV, right? Because if you just look at the totality of my life, it's like, how the hell is he?
Well, that's why I made the bet.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with your bet. A lot of people's bet in the beginning. I think I had 2 things going on. One is hybrid poker is really good at like accelerating the learning of these concepts, right? And getting you up to speed. And 2, I talked to the people around me, and they worked at the hours that I could work, and I put in the hands that I can, and I just did a little each day that allowed me to get to a level where I'm just not getting mopped up on the felt, right? Like I'm competing, right? I'm not saying I'm winning. I'm not saying I'm better than Landon. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying that you guys are happy watching the match. People are entertained. It's not just lopsided, right?
I didn't think I would like the match, but I love it. Go ahead, Jim J. Sorry.
I'd actually like to give you guys a very quick kind of understanding of how ranges work and how they're constructed. And what we do is we bucket, right? There's 10% buckets. And that's how we think about our range as a whole. So for example, in a single raise pot, let's say you have king 10 of spades on ace 5, 2 diamonds. Where do you think king 10 of spades lays within your distribution on that flop?
So the question is, where do you think king 10 lays in your distribution as far as how often you're going to bet?
Yeah, in 10% increments of your range, where does king 10 of spades lie on ace 5, 2 diamonds?
If I'm the raiser?
Sure.
I would say a really high percentage. I'm going to go like 80%.
Yeah, so you're actually in the 39th percentile.
Yes.
And having a true understanding of where your hand falls within your distribution, your range on these textures will give you a better understanding of what A, your range wants to do, but more importantly, B, where your hand falls within that range, and then you can execute that strategy. So having an understanding of that Landon obviously has an understanding of his distribution and his bucketing, etc. Right? Like he obviously understands. I'm not going berserk with ace three. It's pointless to do that in a 3-bet pot. So that's just one quick little lesson for you guys to really focus on where your hand falls within your distribution and your range, and then you can execute accordingly. But sometimes you'll be surprised on where your hand falls on certain textures, and sometimes it's a no-brainer.
Well, something that will help you with that, which MJ just outlined, is hybrid poker, and we're going to give away a 1-month sneak to a winner, which will draw shortly within about a minute or so. So get your focus 2 wins in the chat. About a minute, we'll do the final winning chatter for this week's show. And so in the meantime, where you at going the next round, Bill, mentally?
Wait, I want to point out something. Don't forget, MJ, we're going to do that backing someone if they do well on the test. So when are we going to put that out?
We can put it out right this second. So this is actually really important.
Dogs. Let the dogs out.
Okay, yeah. So it's actually really important. So we have our software, right? And we also have the ability to generate and grade mix sizings and mix frequencies, etc. And so we have an IQ test, and we have the ability to make infinite IQ tests with legitimately correct answers. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put out an IQ test here soon, and it's not A, B, and C like you're used to with the old school shit, right? This is you legitimately play in our software. You will be graded across the entire game tree, and we will set a bar of an accuracy of percentile. So if you get, just for example, don't hold me to this, but if you get higher than an 87%, right? We are going to give away 2 $500,000 backing deals, guaranteed. And we will set the percentage.
I think 87% is a little tough. I think that's hard.
We'll figure out the percentage, but we absolutely will make sure it's achievable and fair. The only people that are excluded are people that have other coaching companies and products, etc. But everyone else is eligible, and $200,000 backing deals immediately.
Well, wait, but it's not just that. It's if you have other coaching deals, and if you ever find yourself saying, "I was betting to see where I was at."
Nope, we encourage those people to come on.
Okay. Okay, good.
Let's see where I'm at.
All right, let's draw the winner here, and call it a stream, and let these guys go do their thing. Ghost, let's do that, please. And you were starting to say, Bill, where your mind's at going into the next round.
I mean, I feel, I had to be molded, right? So, my coaches, like, we're dialing all your aggression back, right? And we want you to err to one side, right? And now I got some of the fundamentals down, and I kind of understand the concepts a little bit better and understand more textures and what can and cannot be done. I'm being unleashed a little bit more and a little bit more. And so I feel good about the progress, because if they just kept me in a box, right, I feel like, oh, I'm not really getting good, but they're starting to, like, trust me to execute on what's going on, and I'm getting better, and I'm learning more about poker, and it's like infinitely deep, right, in terms of, like, you think you know it all, and then something else comes up, right, and you're like, holy shit, I've never seen that before. And why does this happen, right? And like, why should we do this? So I feel good, man. I'm learning, I'm playing, I'm competing at, I think Landon has turned himself into, a top tier player. And so I'm competing against a top tier player in heads up poker. I feel good, and so I'm just going to do my best given my constraints, and that's it. And wherever the money falls, the money falls. I lose, I lose. I win.
Well, who has won the giveaway is I got 5 on it, 2424. Congratulations, I got 5 on it. Go half on a sack and go all in on the hybrid poker software. That's really cool. And hey, thanks again, MJ, for that offer. That's really cool.
Of course, man, you got it.
All right. So yeah, that was it for today, guys. We're a little over 3,100 hands into this challenge. 20K is the total. Perky's hovering at -97, but he was +10 today. We will see what the next show brings. And let's see. I think that's about it. Thanks, Train, for your yeoman's work behind the scenes, clicking those buttons, killing it as usual. Bill, nice session today. Good luck on the next one.
Thank you very much.
And MJ, thank you for joining us. Pleasure as always, man. Thanks for the insight. It's awesome. Chris is wrangling dogs. So we'll let him do his thing out there, but it was a pleasure hanging out with the Moneymaker as always. And I think that's it for today, guys. We'll see you next time. Hit the follow button if you haven't already, and follow the channel for the regular ACR show and this match coming up in the ensuing days. Thank you, gentlemen, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you next time. Bye.